Miranda Pederzuba into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone up into the barriers, coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up, has already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, I spoke too soon there. Sandy goes up.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Todd passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to leave? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. We'll see David Todd right now going into the pit lane.
We go racing for heat number 1 here in Austria. Over AMX 20 in towards the Niki Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash. That's a huge lunge from Gaston Calabi, and he's made contact with, I believe, oh wow, it's a chaotic moment here. And slipstream in front for either car, and you can just see Pederzuba pushing Florian Lamigra right over.
Here we go then, Valera, he looks left, he looks right, he's getting through the right hand side, which is the inside going into turn 3.
Here it is. This is the crucial moment in this race. It's looking like it's only going one way. David Todt is going to take the race lead. Heading into the second half of the season, the Hungarian of David Todt has driven a masterclass here with the early pit stop. Not the ideal strategy, but an ideal race winner and an excellent performance.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Another beautiful day of racing out here as we prepare for the penultimate round of AMX 15 this season. Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we are at Spa-Francorchamps for an epic race with the Dallara P217s, the LMP2 cars. It's sure to be a good one. Things have been heating up all season and it's a tight race for the AMX 15 championship. I am Kevin, and joining me alongside in the booth is Amir. Amir, only 2 rounds left in this championship and the points are very close for the lead.
Oh, definitely. And to tell you something, it's great to be back here as well after being away for just a day or so, or a week or a day or so. But whatever it is, glad to be back and to see the AMX 15 championship go all the way here to just only about 7 points. We're going to get into that, of course, but with Juan Belena and Guy Valero being this close, it's going to be quite the spectacle to watch between the two guys.
Absolutely, definitely the closest championship that we have had in a while this late into the season. But before we get into today's race, make sure everyone out there watching, follow all of our social media, check out the website for a lot of stuff, especially what's going to be coming up out next season as well. But before we get into qualifying, we have a few things to go over for today's race. Like we mentioned, AMX 15 out here today. We've been out here this season since September 7th, and we're going all the way into into November 17th. So just a couple of weeks left out here. This season's prize pool of over $11,000 plus next level racing gear. And today's race format goes as follows. We got our 20-minute qualifier out there, followed by a top 15 reverse grid, going into that heat number 1 of 90 minutes. So heat number 1 is the long one. Top 15 reverse grid after that, going into that second 30-minute heat sprint race. For all of our drivers out there, driver cams are required. You can get the link via our AMX Discord or over on the website. And payouts are done in balances over $100 paid out every single month. Once your account gets over $100, expect that money headed your way. Race days are every single Saturday and Sunday this season, so we are out here every single weekend. We just came back from that mid-season break, and it's been great. But if you want to get the full schedule or sign up to race, you can do so over at amxrace.com. And like I mentioned, every single Saturday and Sunday, Saturdays we kick it off with AMX 0 starting at 5:50 p.m. GMT, followed by AMX 5 right after at 7:10. On Sundays, we got our AMX 10 TCR doubleheaders going on this season, 5:50 p.m. GMT, as well as the second race right after at 7:20 p.m. And on days like today, we got AMX 15, our mini endurance races starting at 5:50 p.m. So the prize pool for AMX 15, a little bit higher stakes out here. Qualifying as well as heat number 2, going to be the same amount of points. Yes, they do get points for qualifying out in AMX as well. $30 going to first place, $20 to second, $18 to third, and points awarded all the way down into 15th place. For heat number 1, points are tripled. So that means $90 going to first place, $60 for second, $54 to third, all the way down into 15th. With heat 1, the fastest lap, getting an extra $15. And once we head into heat 2, like we said, the points go back down to 30, 20, 18, all the way down into 15th, with the fastest lap of heat number 2 getting an extra $5, with a total prize pool per race of over $750. But keep in mind, these stakes are higher, so the I rating must be 4,000 if you want to join in on these races. And let's take a look at our top 10 so far out here for AMX 15. Starting off at number 10 place, we got Victor Miranda up in 9th. Jackson Asenje, 8th place, Ralph Benitez. 7th, Bruno De Carmo. 6th place, Pedro Dean. 5th, Fabrizio Balzidi. 4th place, Peter Zuba. 3rd, Toby Soriano with 232 points. And the battle for the lead in 2nd place, we got Gael Valero, 299 points. And our current leader, Juan Belena, sitting in that top spot with 306 points. So only a 7-point difference up for grabs right now for the lead. Amir, we knew this was going to be a great championship when we started off the season. But like we said, we've seen quite a bit of different cars out here, a lot of different tracks. We were out at Spa-Francorchamps the last couple seasons for the championship, the grand finale. But that's not what's going to be this time. This time it is the penultimate out here.
Oh, definitely. And plus the fact that mathematically, at least up until Peter Zuba, it is still possible for him to snatch the title away from Juan Blainat. But it's going to be a tall order, isn't it? Given the fact that Zuba is more than 150 points behind. The realistic chance is in the top 3. So Soriano, Valero, and Blainat will be ones to watch out for in this race, Kevin.
Yeah, Namir, and definitely this has become one of my favorite cars out in all of racing, especially endurance racing and iRacing. I'm so glad that they have this out here with the LMP2s. And again, out at Spa, such an iconic track today.
Indeed. Well, it's an ultimate driver circuit, isn't it? It almost needs no introduction, but we're just going to give it a little bit of a history lesson on this. Opened 1921, and it used to be much longer than this compared to the version we have now, which was opened in first 1979 was modified, but it welcomed back Juan Caz in 1983 in the town of Stavlo, or rather in the district of Valonia, and it is just about 7 kilometers long, but it has about 19 corners, so different variations in the way that the speeds handle here, but the car that we have today definitely fits the bill and really will feel right at home at this track, and it's none other than the resident LMP2 car, the Dallara P217. 600 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, just under a ton, and slightly better gearbox. But it may be one of those prototypes that people wish would be used more often in real life, notwithstanding the fact that there are other manufacturers around. But Dallara is still one of the most proven chassis manufacturers in the world of motorsport, and for iRacing to have one of the official versions for an LMP2 here really does add a lot of depth to the sim, Kevin.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people hoping that they get other manufacturers, but out here in iRacing, they do prioritize IMSA over the World Endurance Championship. Those rights going out to Le Mans Ultimate, but nonetheless, still a great time out here, especially I've gotten to drive this in a couple of endurance races, and it has quickly become one of my favorite cars. As I know, plenty of the drivers out on field today, it may be some of their favorite cars as well. But speaking of the drivers, we're going to head it over into qualifying to see where they're at so far. Like we mentioned, 20-minute qualifying out here for AMX 15. So far, looking like a lot of these guys starting to get their groove. Most of these drivers, like I mentioned, have been here in previous championships or just out here. The 24 Hours of Spa comes to mind. So definitely no strangers to the track.
Definitely. And of course, the iRacing 24 Hours of Spa is part of the special events calendar that is released every single year on iRacing, and the extra bonus of the fact that this is the latest version of Spa that we're racing on. As you can see there, more runoff coming out of Jackie X / No Name / Speaker's Corner, and a little bit of road on the inside. That was actually specifically for the Endurance World Championship for superbikes. So they've modified the circuit not only to make it safer for the cars, but also the fact that they're welcoming motorbikes for the first time since the 90s.
And out here, I mean, just this onboard shots, it looks so beautiful now with the new rescan of Spa. It's absolutely great. I think this might be the first time that we are seeing the track since we got the new scan updated into iRacing. But alongside that, I mean, this just shows the promise of iRacing trying to update their tracks constantly, updating their cars. So I can't wait to see once they do a complete graphics overhaul. I know that's been in the works for a while, so that'd be great to see with that. That's probably been one of the things a lot of people said, all right, we want the tires fixed. We want those to feel a little bit different, as well as we want the graphics to look a little bit more. So I know the developers are hard at work with those, and I'm sure once those couple of updates come out, definitely a lot more people will probably be flooding to iRacing that we've already seen. But right now, folks, we are almost halfway through this qualifying session right now, just over 10 minutes left, and Marco Saavedra looking like he is going to be leading this one. Absolutely blazing time, a 204.48 out there so far.
Yeah, but only just 300s, exactly 300s in front of Gerard Sardeni in that Lightning McQueen colored car. Incidentally, you can see the bolt there, 95 on the side, but Saavedra has company behind him, and not sure exactly who's following him on the road right now. I'm looking at the timing screen. It might just be Juan Blainat, in fact, incidentally. So Blainat is the one that's following him, but he goes off the road into the escape road and mercifully out of harm's way to Juan Blainat, but that his particular qualifying run scuffed.
And I'm looking at the temps out there too, so it's looking like an absolutely beautiful day out at Spa. I know we've got to see the rain out here a few times. It's raining where I'm at, as well as I know the F1 current Grand Prix right now out at Interlagos. It's been absolutely chaotic out there. So not quite the chaos that we might be seeing out of Spa today that we've seen in previous seasons. Currently about 74 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius. Track is only about 30 degrees. So like I said, I expect these lap times to only be getting quicker as we're out here in qualifying. We have Sardinia up there as well, Dino Filippa. So a few of the Argentine drivers out here on track. It's great to see Dino Filippa back out here. We got to see him yesterday whenever we were out on the Pro 2 light trucks out at Wild West Motorsports Park. So it's great to see Dino Filippa back out here. I know he's been doing a lot of real life racing as well as got to see the other SART drivers out there doing. In fact, I believe it was last week and the weekend before, Amir, that we got to see Dino Filippa out there doing some testing, having some fun out in an F3 car.
Yep, or I think because he's from Argentina, he might be driving the F2 Argentina car, which in reality is located between Formula 4 and Formula Regional in terms of pace. But yeah, it's nice to see that a lot of these guys are doing real world stuff. Some people in the comment section are actually asking, what's changed at the Spa version of Spa? Well, you can see the first corner already is much wider on his entry, and it will be much clearer once you look from the outside, especially coming up through corners like this. For example, look at the outside here. They added a bit of extra paint and widened the runoffs, but some areas it will look more prevalent that there's been some changes at the circuit.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, another thing to keep in mind, some of the curbing, again, iRacing been going with the 3D curbing, a lot more of the tracks that they've been updating as well. So this is one of those tracks that definitely might feel just slightly different. However, Spa over the years has been mostly the same. Like you mentioned here earlier, they've had a few different revisions over the years, but recently, I know these guys, a lot of people out here in iRacing specifically, really loving the updated version. So out here, again, LMP2 car Spa, it is a match made in heaven. When I'm trying to see out there now that we got Pedro Dean going back into the pits, coming out of the pits now, but he was sitting in 10th place, jumped up into 4th. So Pedro Dean really been shining out here this season. Got to see a couple of weeks ago we were out at Circuit de Americas. That might have even been last week if I'm honest. The time is flying so quick out here this season. But nonetheless, we got to see Pedro Dean the last couple of races. He has been doing absolutely great. We're out of the Nürburgring Grand Prix, had a great win out there, out of Circuit de Americas again. So we're not in Formula style cars out here, no open wheelers, but still the LMP2s have a lot of power, a lot of downforce, drive similar in some aspects to some other of the open wheeler cars.
Well, you're not wrong in mentioning that, because in essence, if you take the outer shell of the monocoque for an LMP2, underneath it is basically a single-seater, but it's just a bit off-center to match the pit lane, for example. Like, say, if you're on the right-hand side, yeah, you're going to exit the pit lane that way. As you can see the I rating on screen, Filippa having a high I rating, but his road license is a B for this one, or maybe because he did not focus on the prototypes, but whatever it is, yeah, it is basically a monocoque that's similar to an F1 car, just with a few extra steps on the top to protect drivers, especially through the elements when you go through circuits like the Dallara P217, where there's guardrails and forests around you that it might be quite dangerous if you drive an open top. But yeah, it has some similarities, but still a bit different in some places. As someone's asking, why the first 2 times purple? Good question, because apparently, even though according to our timing screens, it's actually the same up to a decimal point. They are actually having the same ones, 480 and 481 on the screen, but it is actually 481. So Saavedra and Filippa have the same times, but Saavedra said it first, so that's why he is actually in front of Filippa.
And I expect those times to only get faster from our top 2 runners. Like I said, it's Argentine 1-2 right now, but we have some of the Brazilians of Team Delinte Esports out there. Of course, famously known by Tony Kanaan, a lot of people out here. I always see you guys out in chat cheering on our Delinte drivers, so we love having you out here. No, like we said, a lot of these guys have been out here pretty much almost since the very beginning of AMX, so it's great to still see them going on. We got to see some races yesterday, some of these guys out here in the FIA Esports F4 World Championship in iRacing. So a few of these guys really been focusing on that, haven't really tried to focus as much on AMX, but they've been here a lot on Sundays, even with the Grand Prix out here today. I know there's a couple of guys out there, former team member Gustavo Ariel, so he is now currently with Team Redline, but he was part of these guys' teammates earlier on, I think, when they first joined AMX, then got recruited by Team Redline. And speaking of teammates, Gustavo Ariel, also a real-life teammate now of Dino Felipe. So a bunch of convoluted stuff going on behind the scenes, but it's so great to see the community thriving out here.
Oh, definitely. And with more and more Argentines picking up IRL racing as well, and they have actually reinstated the Formula 4 championship over there as Pascucci fist bumps even he crosses the line. You know what that means. It is the fastest time on the board by over 1.5 tenths in front of Saavedra and Felipe. Make no mistake, despite the 2 decimal places between them being different, it is the exact same time on our timing screens. It's 481 for the both of them. But yeah, going back to that point about Argentines being taken, going to the real world stuff, they're trying to follow the footsteps of Franco Colapinto. Of course, Colapinto's been making huge waves since his debut in F1. And look at that, Argentines 1, 2, 3, Pascucci, Saavedra, and Felipe.
Absolutely, and mentioning Colapinto out in Formula 1, he's quickly become one of my favorite drivers out there on the grid. Especially, I love drivers whenever you get to see them out after the post-race interviews, different things, and we just... I think it's great seeing a lot more of the younger guys out there that haven't really quite gotten as much of the media training as you think that the FIA probably would like them to. But it makes things interesting, makes things fun. As well as back out here, I mean, I have a feeling these guys, as much as they're really trying to focus in, they're really trying to have fun out here, and nothing is funner than just setting absolutely blazing lap times, going back and forth with your fellow competitors. And right now still, Roman Pascucci will have to see, as there's just under 3 minutes for someone else to take that top spot away from him.
Yeah, but he was celebrating already. You know that it was such a good lap. He nailed every single corner, every single exit, and just got the throttle every single time correctly to a T. So he was proud of that one, and just outshining a bit his fellow Argentines and the Brazilian contingent right behind. So really, he was probably thinking of just resting on his laurels. He did give way to Dino Felipe behind him afterwards, but he was probably just looking for one last roll of the dice and maybe try to sieve his way through the field come race time.
So now with just 2 minutes left, we're going to see a lot of these drivers trying to squeeze in one more lap. Here comes around the final corner. We got Toby Soriano out there, who again, out there fighting for championship points. We got to see him yesterday doing a great job out in our AMX NASCAR race. And just like that, folks, he will get the top spot. So Toby Soriano out here with a blazing fast 2 minute 4 second .212. So now it is an Argentine 1, 2, 3, 4 out of here Spa. We have only Juan Blanat to make that a 5. Top 5 we'll have to see, as Martin Chico Pederzuba still yet to set an official lap time.
Yeah, that will make it great, isn't it? Last time out, a week ago, it was a Brazilian 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the Argentines, I think, are doing the same thing, but Chico runs wide, and that might just scuff up what was actually pretty much a good lap time on the board here. He comes across the line, he'll have enough time to do one last roll of the dice. No, in fact, he doesn't. That's his qualifying completely ruined, and he's at the back of the field. We're waiting for Pederzuba to come across to set his time. Juan Blanat, though, disappointingly, the championship leader, well, he doesn't have Valera to worry about, but he is running in that top 10 at the bottom end rather than being at the top end.
Yeah, definitely this is his championship to win. You know he's wanting it, but again, anything can happen. We see going wide out here, Bruno De Carmo completely off into the gravel. Again, I'm wondering if he was just trying to let his teammate by, but both of them know they do not have enough time to finish this lap out. So 30 seconds, half the drivers now heading it into the pit lane. Dino Felipe out here, and Pederzuba with the last minute squeezing it in to take away that top spot out here in qualifying.
Wow, what a final sector did he get there? A 2204.1, but Harat Sardini had the fastest middle sector there, sector 3. He's purple, coming out of the final corner now. Would this be an improvement? It looks as though it might not be. Across the line he comes, and he will, well, be improving, but it's only 5th place. What an amazing end to qualifying. Out of the blue, that was an amazing time by Pederzuba.
Yeah, I mean, just again, squeezing it in last minute, making everyone nervous out here, but there was less than a second between the majority of our drivers. It looks like Martin Chico just trying to get a time on the board for qualifying, but like we said out here, we got, again, We have everyone out here going to be making that top 15 reverse grid. 12 drivers on the grid right now. About 3-4 drivers definitely very close to taking away that championship from Gael Valero. And speaking of Gael Valero, unfortunately his name is not out here on the track today. So fourth place, Roman Pascucci. Fifth, Gerard Sardini. Sixth, Dino Felipa. Seventh, Pedro Dean. Eighth, Jackson Asenje. Ninth, Bruno De Carmo. 10th, Juan Blena. 11th, Ruben Llorente. And rounding it out in 12th, we got Martin Chico.
And talk about ghost driver, Peter Zuba actually said that like without even being in his rig. So what a way to do so. 400s in front of Saavedra. But once he's back in the seat, parody over by the way, definitely he will be trying to side his way through the field to get up to the front. Really will be. There he is. He's back in it just in time. So ghost driver normal. He's probably just taking a bit of a leak. Yep, waves to the camera. Hello as well. Good morning to you. But yeah, really definitely can't wait to see how this goes because it is such a competitive field. Look at that. First to 11th, under a second. Discount Chico because that lap was scuffed, but no doubt if he actually set a proper lap time, the entire field would have been within 1 second.
And I already have people out there asking in chat, where is Gael Valero? The question on all of our minds today. Unfortunately, this looks like him missing today's race will put him out of contention for the championship with a couple other drivers around. And we got Juan Blanat right in front of him, Toby Soriano not too far behind. So I think those drivers, again, AMX 15, a lot of points out here, going to make that a huge difference. So we speculated Gael Valero was going to be coming out here trying to go for 3 consecutive championships, AMX 5, AMX 10, and AMX 15. But it's looking like with him not being here today, his AMX 15 dreams are going to be all but gone. But nonetheless, he still has the chance to take home 2 consecutive championships as well as the overall AMX points leader.
Well, that will be something, isn't it, for Blanat? We probably can't get the interview afterwards because he'll be just choked up for words on that if he manages to pull it off. But we'll wait and see what the race entails because, again, you never know what might happen in a field of drivers who are eager to snatch a win from the championship leaders when they're being careful. That might cause some sort of kerfuffle somewhere in between.
Yeah, and out here too. So uncharacteristic of Gael Valero to be missing a race. So we send our wishes, hope everything is well with him. Again, but back to out here, that is going to leave a little bit less pressure, I think, for Juan Blanat. But he does know that he has Toby Soriano out there, Peter Zuba as well, that they can really come back from behind. Again, what we got to see out in qualifying, hey, that might be what we get to see for the championship. These guys coming out last minute, able to get on that top spot. But anything can happen out here. Heat 1 is definitely going to be the more important heat, the 90-minute endurance race. These guys will have to hit the pits as well. So definitely strategy. And for a lot of these guys up top, that is what has helped out Juan Blanat be in the lead in this championship.
Indeed, and shout out as well to our usual contributors in the comments, driver cams, and just keep with Pete Toughnuff. I think that's how he pronounced it, but either way, we're going to get underway here, Kevin.
Absolutely. So the green flag is out, and now we make our way down the home straight. It is Martin Chico out in front, followed by Ruben Llorente, Bruno De Carmo. Got Pedro Dean and Jackson St. in the middle of the pack, swapping places. Dino Filippo over Gerard Sardini. So these guys now taking it too wide, heading down the lane. Again, we'll have to see Martin Chico, Ruben Llorente towards the back of the pack. Not getting quite as much speed, but an excellent job there. Amazing defense for Martin Chico.
Yep, he got the start he wanted, got a whole shot, and now just needs to defend against Llorente on the camel straight, but he's got a couple cars behind Llorente and De Carmo with Blanat in close proximity as well, so Blanat's not hanging about. He wants to actually get out to the front quickly to just try and get more points in this championship. Remember, 90 points for this first heat because the first points offer more. It's a much longer race compared to the second one, which is more like a sprint race. Coming up now to Brussels. Let's see if there's any changes. I think De Carmo may have fended off. Yep, he held off Blanat for the time being. Up in front, Chico still holds on to lead in front of Ruben Llorente Jr.
And we've seen there Martin Chico just going a little bit wide. dipping a tire into the gravel on the outside, so it didn't slow him down too much, but now it looks like him and Ruben Llorente, both of them eager to get in front of the lead. But like I said, folks, we have about 90 minutes out here in this heat number 1, so anything can happen. It's not usually the smartest thing to try and push right away, but again, these drivers are hungry for that win, so they're going to do whatever it takes to get it. Right now, still, Martin Chico, Ruben Llorente, Bruno De Carmo, your top 3 as we start to round out lap number 1, about 3/4 of the way through this first lap, and it still amazes me just how fast these drivers are right off the bat. Like I said, a lot of them trying to get aggressive, but these guys have so much experience out here that they know, all right, we need to play it smart more than just play it fast. And so far, that's looked like what is happening there in the middle of the pack right now. Gina Felipa leading the Argentinians in the middle of the pack, but we got a bit of a spread throughout as now we come through the chicane, heading out now lap number 2. We are through lap 1 without incident, Amir.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, it's not as spread as we might think. It is very, very close between drivers from first all the way to 12, and you can see by the intervals there, everyone's still within earshot of each other. If it turns red, that means they're very close. Yellow, that means that they're within sight. So really then, the slipstream is quite strong in these cars. It might just be the deal maker here for those who want to try and overtake. And case in point here, Llorente is trying to go around the outside once again. He tried at the start, it didn't work out. He's managing to edge ahead coming out to Lake Cove, and he sweeps around the outside.
And just like that, carried a lot of speed, a little bit squirrely right there from Ruben Llorente, but he's able to hold on to it. Now still leading in the pack, a couple of drivers out there again, dipping their wheels just slightly off into the gravel, but still great moves going on towards the front of the pack. We'll have to see Martin Chico now. He has to be driving a little bit more careful as he is sandwiched, trying to make the move up front. But again, anytime that the drivers are in this position, you just got to be a little bit more careful. Ruben Llorente is going to do whatever he can to try and get a little bit of a gap, but I don't expect that scene where these guys were in qualifying. Like I said, under a second between majority of the drivers. Of course, Martin Chico just having a little bit of hard time trying to get on there. Sure, part of that might have been a little bit of those off tracks. Like you mentioned, Amir, just the slightest differences out here in this new updated version of Spa and iRacing. But still, and as we say that, it looks like Martin Chico, something happened there, Amir. He's showing out on the timing screen. I seen him blink out, and that was it.
Oh, unlucky number 13. Look at that, what number he's running. It definitely didn't bode well for him in terms of his luck. But yeah, we see that multiple times with Gal Valero, where he fritzes in and out of reality, but it doesn't really cost him his entire race. This, however, is not the same case for Chico, and he's sent right at the back here. Really unfortunate stuff for one of the many Argentines that we have on the grid here today.
Man, and I can relate to that. I have been in that place at Martin Chico. Sometimes you just have a little bit of technical issues, and unfortunately it shoots you back. So hopefully Martin Chico, we'll have to see again if this affects his pit strategy. Is he going to go for the early pit, come back out here, and just again, right now he has about 10 seconds, so plenty of free air out there, but a lot of these, you want to really be in the draft in these cars. Is here. Juan Blanot knows that very well. Our championship leader so far, right now in 3rd place, looking to make it first, but he still has Bruno De Carmo and Ruben Llorente to deal with.
Yep, and in the comment section, someone's asking, Bam says, did I qualify for the Hyundai N Cup? Maybe, maybe not, who knows? I might just give it a try afterwards, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting competition, especially with the Hyundai touring car, TCR cars being used in that one on the Circuit de Corsa, a completely different platform. That was right up my alley because I've been driving that game for donkey's years. So, let's see first. Who knows? That might be up in the air in terms of planning right now, but either way, watch that space. Meanwhile, back to the battle to the guys up in front. It seems as though Llorente has pulled a bit of a gap to now Bruno De Carmo, because he inherited 2nd place after Chico's misfortunes. But yeah, that definitely has opened up the race a bit at the front as well. Like I said, the Corsa, of course. I mean, I don't really discriminate any game, to be honest. I play everything, so I have some likes and dislikes in terms of how they behave, but overall, every single sim title that I've played, I give it a thumbs up.
Absolutely, and yeah, that too. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. Been back and forth on it about going out there again. Front-wheel drive vehicles, not my favorite thing out here, mostly because I'm bad, definitely a skill issue. I tend to favor a lot of off-road stuff, so that's kind of where we got to see. So I would have loved to join the guys yesterday when we're out in the trucks. It was a heartbreaking ending out there for AMX here. Liam Mora, an absolute veteran in the Pro 2 lights, Pro 4 trucks as well, just went out there. He had over a 10-second gap leading the race on the final lap, only to just run out of fuel. I spoke to him after the race yesterday, and he just said in the last 3 years, that is the first time that he has ever had something like that happen to him. And like we said, all of us were in absolute heartbreak. So many of us were rooting for him, but hey, that's like they say, that is racing. So we hope to see him back. It was great to see him. Hadn't seen him in a couple of seasons, as well as the NASCAR race yesterday too. So a lot of different things coming out here, a lot of different kinds of drivers. We had a rookie really putting it to Guy Valero yesterday up in the front of the pack. We kind of had a few laughs. I had to ask him as well, hey man, why did your name say Hillbilly Hank up in the timing screen when it has your actual name in iRacing? And he was just as shocked as we are. So I've been trying to talk to some of these drivers a little bit more outside of just the races. It's great to catch up with everyone. Like I said, great big community, and speaking of a big community chat, we love to see all you out there, and we'd love it if you follow all of our social medias as well. Get to see highlights, replays, giveaways, all of the likes. But Amir, we are only lap number 4 into this thing, and so far these guys have kept it pretty tame.
Yeah, so far at least. And again, they're probably just trying to watch out with their tires and fuel before they come into their pit stops, because obviously, despite Le Mans prototypes being very friendly towards the tires and fuel, they still have to watch over the conservation of it and not use too much. So they're just hanging about, not really wanting to put each other under pressure and going into unnecessary situations. But depends on the driver as well. Some guys like Bruno Carmo, we know he can attack, and Juan Plena, when he's in the right place and time, he will definitely be going for it as well. So for the time being, everyone's just keeping their powder dry.
I got some people out there asking about Americans just don't like us out, of course. I'm like, well, I'm not really sure that's true. We've had quite a few Americans out here. I know, well, as far as ACC goes, I know there's plenty of people out here. So it's out, of course, I think just it's a little bit different, it being a little bit older, but it's great to see out there Hyundai doing great things, trying to put on such a huge competition out there. It seems to be more and more popular, more likely that a lot of these guys are saying, all right, we're going to see what we can do out here. Of course, Hyundai being involved out there, Kunos getting involved with it, as well as some of the guys behind the scenes with AMX will be helping out. So a lot of the parties kind of all coming together to make this thing happen. So it's going to be great to see exactly when those guys end up qualifying. And I mean, like I said, just have to see once it gets to the regional finals, the grand finals.
Yep, and given the fact that slipstream works on the straight, but through the corners, you will be having a lot of problems trying to follow the other car in front. Less brutal compared to, say, an F1 car, but still, nonetheless, you might not want to get too close to the guy in front mid-corner, otherwise you will lose a lot of time. As someone says that Guy Valero is on the timing tower, and you'll be actually right. He somehow made it into the race, so not sure how that's working out. Either way, we'll keep an eye on him, whether or not he will be available in this second heat. Now, talking about other people who are going into the comment section, we have Evandro Dantas, a fellow Brazilian, to the guys out on track. It's a shame that we don't get to see him on the track at this point, but hopefully he will be there to support the Carmo all the way through. As you can see, Felipe with the dive on Resende, pushes Resende out of the way. That's Brazilian and Argentine together, and it's all kicking off here, Kevin.
Oh, and you can tell Jackson Senji not too happy about that one. A little bit of bumping back and forth between the two drivers. So I expect him to kind of, try to go in here and say, all right, if you want to dive on me, I'm going to try and dive on you now. Using the slipstream, goes for the outside back in, but then again, 2 moves out here. It's not the same rules as Formula 1, but a lot of these guys trying to still be squeezing him to the outside, and there we see Jackson Senji just focused in on, all right, you know what? You want to play like that, it is time to turn things up a little bit. So those are going to be the 2 guys to watch right there. Dino Filippo, Jackson Asenje. Again, Brazil versus Argentina. We always see it back and forth a lot between these guys, even between fellow countrymen, when they're not teammates, really battling it out hard. So again, we'll have to see. Luckily, no one getting into an incident with that. But again, whenever you have some of these guys out here with pro class licenses, they know exactly how far they can push it.
And between the both of them, Filippo and Resenji, we know that these guys can be quite live wires in the race. As hello to Diva in the comment section. We're glad to have you as well. As that particular defense from Filippo, you might say is questionable because he moved once and then he moved the second time to prevent Resenji from overtaking. So that's quite a problem when you do it in real world racing, because the stewards would just say, nope, knock that off. You might have to give, or rather be given a warning and not try to do that again the next time. But as you said just now, in endurance or prototype racing, it's a bit different in the way it's interpreted, because you can defend up to a certain extent, but it's just under the gray area when it comes to general rule of racing. You shouldn't really be closing off that harshly. But again, it's between Filippo and Resende, so these 2 guys, when their name is on the entry list, they might provide some sparks.
Yeah, and looking up at the iRacing code of conduct as well. So even in the rules for iRacing, they definitely don't want people out here blocking each other. So if you are intentionally blocking, swerving back and forth across the lane, that technically could be something that is an offense from iRacing itself. So again, out here, we try to follow a lot of the same rules. We have our own regulations for everyone out there. If you want to go check up on them, hey, you're someone that likes to read the rules of what we're racing, we got that over on the website, as well as, like I said, the full schedule, everything else if you want to get signed up. AMX Zero has been super entertaining this season so far. That is free to everyone. Anyone can join that, so a great place to start if you want to get out on track with us. But right now, still, lap number 7, Ruben Llorente been leading this one for quite a while. Bruno De Carmo in second, and Juan Blanat there in 3rd place. So our top 3 drivers, again, not really trying to fight it too much. I think right now, knowing how long this race is, they're really going to be trying to go on the fuel saving strategy, on the tire saving strategy a little bit. Like, really in the LMP2s, you're not too worried about tires most of the time. It's really going to be where the fuel is. Are you going to be able to get one more lap? And we'll have to see if these drivers right behind first place are going to try and go for the overcut.
Yep, and apologies for some of the rather choice words, shall we say. Very colorful French in the comment section there from one of the commenters. But Zuba is actually not the leader in the championship for the AMX 50 category. In fact, he's 4th. He's over 150 points behind Juan Blanat. Blanat is your current leader in the championship standings, and in fact, he will increase his lead bit by bit, or rather more, if he gets a win here in front of Valero, with Soriano being going to be the big beneficiary here if he could get further up the leaderboard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got to see out here. Really, I think this is kind of what we can expect from a lot of these drivers. They know there's a lot of points on the line out here in heat number 1. They know that, especially for these guys in the championship battle, without Gael Valero being on track, that this is really their time to take full advantage of it, get those extra couple places, and see where he falls after today's races. Gael Valero just kind of out there. We got to see, I'm not exactly sure, Amir, what happened. He entirely missed qualifying. He is now 5 laps down. We might have to have the officials look into this one. Again, as far as I'm aware, you have to pretty much at least attempt to set a qualifying time. So I'm not sure if the officials will have something to say about this. I think this happened once before, actually, last season with Gael Valero as well. I remember if it was last season or early on in this season, that he pretty much just missed qualifying and got into the race starting from the pits.
I think this might be a similar case this time as well, but he has lost a completely huge amount of time, 5+ laps now, even behind Chico. So in total, he's 6 laps behind Llorente at this point. We'll wait and see how that will entail and whether or not he is going to be starting from the front when we flip the script after this. But yeah, really not the best way to start for the Frenchman. And it's not the first time, again, as you mentioned, that he's had problems with connection regards to the server. But in terms of racing rules, we have to wait and see what it will entail.
And so, looking that up real quick, yes, the rules do state that a driver must make an attempt to qualify for the race. So if there's no qualifying attempt made, then the driver can be disqualified from heat number 1. So, yeah, I mean, again, we'll have to see if he gets black flagged out here, if any of the racing stewards say, you know what, we love the enthusiasm, we know you're out here fighting for the championship, but unfortunately, you just weren't able to make it into qualifying. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if we hear anything from the officials as this race goes on. But right now, still, lap number 9 out here, Ruben Llorente up in front, Bruno De Carmo still in behind, Juan Blanat third place. Going down the roster still, Pedro Dean, Dino Felipe, Jackson Asenge. Now about 1 second gap right there between Dino Felipe and Jackson Asenge. So that was about the biggest gap we see. Everyone else pretty close in the train out here, Amir.
Yeah, in fact, again, this particular train has not been derailed by any means, even with a couple of missteps like what happened to Chico. Sardeni is the first of the guys to break rank and go into the pits. That's his particular stop to just probably go and do the undercut. But the rest of the field, from Llorente all the way to Saavedra, they have not actually been lost to each other. They just are maintaining the same pace, watching over the fuel as opposed to just the tires, and waiting for the right time to strike. I think once the pit stops come in, that's the opportunity to see whether or not the field will be broken up just a bit. But that's not what we want to see, of course. We want them to still be close even after the strategies play out.
And one other thing, well, like we said, we got to know at least Gael Valero is okay. He is out here kind of hanging out with us out on track. So right now, though, we'll see how that plays into heat number 2. The rules do only say about being disqualified for heat number 1. There technically isn't anything right now that follows up about heat number 2. So with there being 2 heats out here, we'll see if he's able to get onto the grid for heat number 2, get that pole position, and at least try to save some points out here. So it's really going to be damage control for Gael Valero this race and as well as our finale. But right now, still on board right now, seeing the back of Pedro Dean, taking a look at Dino Felipe. So a bit of a spread so far in terms of the different countries. We got Brazil, Argentina, but right there to the outside over Pedro Dean, we got Dino Felipe making an absolutely crazy move. So again, that looked like that was, I mean, I'm not sure, but whoa, a little bit of back and forth there as well from Pedro Dean. So just trying to keep things, I mean, really, I'm at a loss for words. That a dive from the inside of Jackson Asenge. So much going on now. Amir, these drivers are finally starting to get their elbows out.
And he's flashing his lights. Look at that. Dean is flashing his fellow countryman Asende. He did not like that shut the door move by 1 bit. He is now going to come after for seconds. And with Pascucci right behind, we know Pascucci how fast he can be. He is just rubbing his hands together and waiting for these two to collide.
So just like that, yeah, I mean, again, once these drivers start getting a little bit aggressive, they start making moves that probably aren't too clean in some viewers' eyes. I mean, really, the drivers, you can see just the disdain from Pedro Dean, just saying, all right, dude, you totally just sent it in, but oh, like that, looks like Pedro Dean might have gotten hit from behind. We just seen him just absolutely lose control of the steering wheel. We might have to get a replay on that one, Amir.
Yeah, I think that was Pascucci misjudging it and just sending Dean going off into Brussels. But again, the replay might just clarify what happened there. We'll get it pretty soon. Of course, the guys behind the scenes, always as ever, picking up the best stuff, even when we don't see it. But yeah, again, it was all kicking off. It was brewing quite a bit. It looked like Dean was going to go after Resende, but unfortunately, he himself just got taken to the cleaners in that instance.
And keep in mind for everyone out there, so out here for AMX 15, I'll get back to that as we go to a full screen replay of what just unfolded. So we get to see Pedro Dean right there now to the inside. So absolutely just a dive to the inside right there. And yeah, I mean, that could have ended up a lot worse, but still, I think, you know, right there, the number 2 car of Roman Pascucci. Seen there was a little bit of a gap, but that gap was already starting to close from what it looks like there from Pedro Dean. So Pedro Dean really just, I think, did not quite see him in his mirror and, hey, tried to stay on his line, but just with that little bit of a gap, not sure if Roman Pascucci would have made that even if there was no driver right in front of him.
And, well, agreement on that point. But at the same time, I think by looking at the stream replay, just rewinding it a bit, I can see that Dean was trying to actually go into the corner. He was trying to make it, but probably threw in also the block a bit too late there, and then Pascucci had nowhere to go. But again, on the flip side, I think Pascucci should have actually backed it off a bit to prevent that collision from happening. So it takes two to tango. I think if you're asking about Stewart's point of view, that might just be a little bit more tipping on the scales towards Pascucci, because that was a bit of a clumsy maneuver, trying to overtake an area where it is quite tight to do so.
So yeah, again, definitely going to be left up to the stewards how they see fit on that. Another thing out here, so for AMX 15, heat number 1, 90 minutes out here, but these drivers do have to take 2 mandatory pit stops. So that is one thing that is a little bit different in the racing format out here. So I mean, I was almost expecting Pedro Dean to kind of go into the pits right after that. So far, we've only had a couple of guys. Gerard Sardeni on back have already hit the pit 1 time. Martin Chico down 1 lap so far.
And a question coming from Korayon. That's the Japanese spelling for that user. Yes, I actually have done a bit of stewarding with my own local FIASN. So yes, I do have a bit of experience trying to judge some accidents, especially from either real life karting or in sim racing. But from my point of view on that one, I think, yeah, it's just 60-40. It was an unfortunate collision, but it had to happen either way, because it's not an area where you normally overtake. It is a sloping hill, but collision is almost inevitable when someone's going through it. Now, speaking of strategy, Blanard's coming in. Ooh, did he just actually press the pit lane limiter slightly a bit later compared to what he usually would? Let's see if he has a penalty afterwards. But this pit stop is all but crucial now in regards to the other guys who did their stops earlier.
Yeah, I'm not too sure exactly what happened right there. That was really cutting it close for Juan Blanard. But there we go, folks. And now some of these guys tired of being in the middle of the traffic, starting to say, okay, I'm definitely going to go out there and start to really try and get some clean air, trying to set fast lap after fast lap. We know Juan Blanard is able to do it. Right now, Toby Soriano currently having the fastest lap on the field, but still, none of these guys really under 2 minutes, 5 seconds as of yet.
Yeah, in fact, most of these guys, again, does prove the point that we were telling about earlier. They're not really going full pelt right now because they're just conserving everything. Fuel, tire, car, whatever that is needed to be saved, they're not going for it. So apart from a few drivers breaking rank, these guys in this particular battle pack are still keeping each other nose to tail and very honest.
And speaking of strategy, one thing that we've got to see previous AMX 15 races, once the weather starts coming in, these guys really have to change enough. But taking a look at the weather right now, it is looking like so far it is pretty much going to be clear skies out today. So these drivers not really going to have to worry about that as much. Again, I'm always curious whenever we see some of these guys on there talking. I wonder if they are talking with their teammates out on track or if they're talking to their spotter. Maybe a bit of both. I know especially the Delete Esports guys, these guys out here always seem to be kind of working with each other a little bit. There's almost always more than 2 of the guys on the track at once. So great to see right now is being on board with one of them, Bruno De Carmo, still holding it down in 2nd place. But now that they know Juan Blanard that he has hit his pits, oh, here we go, folks. Bruno De Carmo now also hitting the pit stop, as well as Jackson and Sanjay. So they're going to definitely try to work together coming out of the pits, keep that draft and keep their speeds up.
Yep, more crucially, 2 of them are teammates, but for Dean, he would not be happy to be behind Sandy in light of what happened recently, just a few laps earlier when the both of them were battling at it hammer and tongs. You might have to watch out for those guys after this if they were to become on camera, because that could actually be quite fiery if Dean will try to go back in retaliation.
Yeah, I mean, just from what we've seen this season, I'm not sure if Dean is necessarily going to come back to retaliate, but he is definitely going to be pushing it to try to skew the edge of the limits, try to really push the boundaries of the rules. I mean, you know, there's a lot of that we get to see, especially here as F1 fans. Definitely a lot of controversy the last few races there, so I expect us to start seeing a little bit of that. Again, will there be penalties out here? Only we'll have to wait and see what the stewards have to say. But right now, with these guys already taking their pit stops, we have our top 5 still yet to pit, so we'll have to wait and see how long are they going to stay out here. Again, 2 mandatory pit stops out here for heat number 1.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that the tires and the fuel can last at least about, judging what I was doing a stint in the same sort of cars but in another sim, it could last about 55 minutes here. But again, some of these guys are pitting much earlier just so they could clear the traffic in front and try to do the undercut while in clean air, while others are just staying out trying to hope for the best by going longer so that they can just have a shorter pit stop when they come into when they come into box. It's just 2 different tales of strategies here right now, Kevin.
Yeah, and with the long straights out here, I mean, these guys really putting it flat out through most of this track. There's so many. I mean, it's just a really long track, but as I say that, we got our front runner starting to go out. Toby Soriano deciding to stay out. Peter Zuba as well. So these guys right now, some of the fastest drivers on the field. We'll have to see if they're going to really try to work together. And with that, Toby Soriano now setting the fastest lap once again is under 2 minutes 5 seconds. So I think that was the smart thing to do for them. They know they have really good pace. They don't want to be caught up in traffic. So Peter Zuba just going to be trying to hang on to that here. Juan Blanat, one of the early pit stops just a couple laps ago, will be leading the pack. So we'll have to keep an eye out. Where will these guys be coming out of the pits in front of Juan Blanat? Or will he be able to finally take hold of that lead and wait for those 2 drivers in front to have to pit, only to get back up into first place? Again, Juan Blanat being the current championship leader out here for AMX 15.
Well, crucially though, he's actually gotten in front of Bruno Carmo and Jackson Resende, albeit they're actually much closer to Blanat compared to before at the start of the pit stop. And look who's coming out of the pit lane there. That might just be Felipa. So Dino Felipa has managed to jump ahead of Juan Blanat. So Blanat's tactic to go for the undercut has paid off. Only for just the 2 cars. Now he has to deal with a battle with Bruno Carmo.
Yeah, and seen there too, Bruno Carmo just right there, just hanging on to the rear bumper. Just such a beautiful shot there, but he decides he's not going to try anything crazy. Backs off just slightly. He knows he has his teammate of Jackson Sanjay right behind him as well to help work together. So again, we are only 14 laps into this thing. There's still plenty of time. These guys not wanting to make too many mistakes. Again, it is a battle of perseverance out here at Spa. No matter the car, no matter the type of weather, you really have to be absolutely patient. Have the patience of a saint out here if you want to be really good. But here they start going side by side. Well, so we'll see Bruno Carmo trying to get the move done. Now holds the inside. Oh, a little bit of contact there. But with that going wide now, leaving room for Jackson Sanjay to go up. Now the 2 Delete the Esports drivers side by side. We'll have to see. It's still Jackson Sanjay holding on to it. Bruno Carmo does falling slightly back. Such a great run right there, Amir. Absolute textbook from Delete.
Yeah, good teamwork between the 2 Brazilians there, and Resende is the biggest beneficiary because he also jumped the Carmo and Blanat in one fell swoop. Now Blanat seems to have faded a bit in this particular point in the stints, and we have to remind ourselves he literally just pitted a while ago, and this might just be because the tires are not at the temperature, or he didn't change tires out on the pit lane. He's banking on these same set of tires that he started the race with to carry him through. But you can see there, that's Savage right now. On the inside, does he make it? No. He manages to hold on to P6 just for now. But Juan Blanat then, not looking like a happy chappy in this particular point.
And here we see the side-by-side again. No, we are going to slot back into this thing. No one trying to make a dive down into turn 1, especially with guys coming out of the pits. That's such a dangerous rejoin for these guys to be battling. So now we start seeing side-by-side. The guys just coming out. Juan Blanat now falling down into 5th place. So we'll have to keep an eye on him as well to see. I mean, really, if he's going to be out here. Dino Felipa still holding on to 1st. Jackson Sanjay 2nd. Bruno Carmo 3rd. So with everyone now hitting at least 1 pit stop, definitely it will have to see where are they going to go now. It's really a battle. Are they going to go for the undercut? Who got tires? Who didn't get tires? So much can happen out here.
Yeah, but crucially, for those guys that did undercut, it really has not worked out the way they like it. For Blaine Knight, he pitted earlier, definitely has seen his challenge fade just slightly. He's still within a shout of getting to that top 3 and indeed try to challenge Filippo for the win. But in this very point right now, he is fading ever so slightly then to the clutches of Peter Zuba, who is the type of guy you know can do the biz in these cars. Has not been able to get up as fast as he would have liked anyway.
So now we'll have to see as, again, Dino Filippo now about 2.5 seconds up ahead of Jackson Senje in the lead. So these guys are definitely going to have to start working together. The two Brazilians from Delinte really just, again, they have to battle it off. They know they have Toby Soriano right behind them. Again, fighting for points in the championship of quite a few of these guys. Gael Valero just kind of making it out here, but unfortunately didn't qualify. So P1 may not count for him. Again, we'll have to see exactly what the stewards say, what the officials have to say about that, as Gael Valero still kind of just been hanging out here. I think he's just saying, hey, well, if I'm going to have to kill time, I'm going to get disqualified. Might as well get some practice in if I can for heat number 2. But right now, lap number 16 out here. So we are not quite halfway through, but Dino Filippo now setting the fastest lap at 2:04.74.
Yeah, coming up now to Rouge Radion again. This time, however, it's going to be quite tricky for Bruno Carmo to defend on this one, because Soriano is closing in much closer here onto Lake Combe, on the chemistry into Lake Combe. No such benefit from this slipstream that Resende had in front, and there goes Soriano up to second now. Next up is the other Brazilian Resende, and then up in front is his fellow countryman Dino Filippo.
So I think at this point, again, a lot of these drivers just really kind of fell into the train, saying, all right, things got a little bit aggressive there for a while, so now we're going to have to just dial back just slightly. Don't want to end up into the wall out here. I mean, Spa, there's so many times that we've seen just time and time again, when you push it too hard, it is very easy to really just have a mess up, have a mistake, and get sent off into the wall. Of course, there's plenty of long runoffs out here, so that has helped so far with a couple of these guys that, you know, got a little bit caught up, and fortunately for them, did not end up out of this race. But like I said, anything can happen out here at Spa. We can see Martin Chico still down almost about a lap, sitting hanging around in 12th place. Gael Valero also on the timing screen still, but every single person out here, one pit stop so far. We're waiting for one more. When is it going to be? Who's going to go for the undercut? I think right now we're probably going to have the fastest drivers really try to, I mean, I guess it's a balancing act out here, really. You want to get as much clean air as you can if you know you have the pace, but at the same time, if you lose the draft for some of these straightaways, that can just cut off tenths of a second off of your time. So it's really going to be a hard call for some of these guys out here today.
Yeah, but some of those guys who did the undercuts earlier, for Blaine Nutt, it didn't really pay off for him, because he still lost track position to Resende and De Carmo afterwards when they overtook him, and then Soriano later on. For Chico, of course, because of unnatural reasons that he had to come into the pits. Apart from that, early pit stop doesn't seem to work, because the tires, again, is a factor here, because if the tires have heavy degradation, you might try to undercut. If it can go a bit longer, overcut, and that's exactly what the rest of the field has done. Now, this is a proper battle between Resende and Soriano. Soriano has the legs up on Resende, goes around the outside, and takes P2 away.
Yeah, and Soriano just making it look too easy right there. But again, I know these guys, they're not wanting to fight too hard, because last time we seen some of these guys fight that hard, they ended up into each other, just started just sliding out. And just with that, that's all you need to end up behind the grid. But again, really, at what pace do these guys have with each other? And so far, Toby Soriano now making it an Argentine 1-2, leading this race. Dino Filippo doing a great job, still over 3-second lead up in first place. So although Dino Filippo doesn't have the draft over these other guys, he doesn't have the draft to help him out, he is still setting lap time after lap time. He's just getting he seems to be getting quicker and quicker as the time goes by. So I think, again, Dino Filippo might be just waiting until the last possible moment to really just stay in the lead of this race. You don't want to end up in traffic if you don't have to.
And certainly he wouldn't have to if he pits much later compared to the other guys, because as we saw in that first stint, you can pit a bit later. The tires are not going to be a factor in how the position swap. If it's high deck, yes, they might have to come early so that they can do the undercut. This one, overcut's possible. Fuel can just be a bit questionable. Filippo, on the other hand, you'd have to tell him that he knew how to exactly do it, just maintain enough pace with the fuel and tires to still stay up in front. And then some. He's about 2.7 seconds in front, though he's being chased that time around by Soriano 6/10 slower compared to his fellow Argentine.
Yeah, out there, so we can definitely see Toby Soriano those last couple of sectors just, I mean, yeah, he's starting to find his pace now, already a second over Jackson Asenge. Now he's going to be closing the gap, so I think within the next 5 laps or so, Toby Soriano may already be caught up to our leader of Dino Filippo. Again, both of these drivers doing absolutely amazing out here. However, Toby Soriano just starting to show a little bit better pace. And here we go, folks. We got Peter Zuba out here. We got Juan Blanat, Marcos Avenger, and a lockup right there from Peter Zuba.
Well, that wasn't a lockup. He tried a bit of a lunge on Juan Blanat, and it didn't pay off because look at how much that Peter Zuba lost time there. As meanwhile, Juan Blanat survived and manages to just stay. But it was worse for Zuba. He could have easily locked it up and just thrown it all away.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we're going to probably be getting a replay on that one. Again, that unfolded so fast. Like we said, there hasn't been as many accidents as we've seen in prior races. So definitely these guys out here not having to work too hard with the replays. As I think last week and the week before, there was so much going on track. Well, I don't know if I say the week before. We had our mid-season break the week before. But yeah, these guys out here just still such a great job, such great craftsmanship and race. Just, I mean, again, just at a loss for words of just, I don't think, it's hard to understand unless you've been out here racing with some of these guys or you've been following racing with them for quite a while, how good of a job, how high the competition out here. But as we go into full screen replay, yeah, we can just see right here, Peter Zuba on the inside line, just trying to get into the brakes a little bit later, and there we see the contact. Juan Blanat turning in on, I'm not sure, again, we might have to see another angle if he got turned in onto it or if he just, you know, broke too late, hit the brakes too late and really had too much momentum. Amir, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think that was kind of like 100% on Zuba that time around. Sorry to say about that, but he really tried his luck on the inside when Blanat was on the outside. Blanat had the racing line ready, but it just falls under that early situation where it's a 60-40 scenario. We saw that with Pascucci taking out Dean earlier. Same situation here. It's just that Zuba wanted to go on the inside when the gap was closing, and Blanat already had his racing line. He committed to it. So it just falls under racing incident, slightly towards Peter's side on that one. So we might have to throw the book on him at that one. But again, ultimately it's the steward's call on this particular kind of incident. It just looks really nip-tucked, but I will stand by the 60-40 argument.
So out here, I mean, hard racing nonetheless, and I think some of these guys are starting to realize, okay, it's been really hard for some of them to pass out here. Usually you see on some of these longer straights that we got going in out here that, hey, this is where I really need to be if I want to make that pass, especially coming out of Radion, going onto the Kemmel Straight. I think that's where a lot of times we see these guys use the draft, try to go into turn number 5 and 6, just get the move done. But unfortunately, hey, sometimes it's not quite enough out here. But still, what is quite enough has been Dino Filippo. I can't believe just how strong he's been in this race to be able to just get out in front and really just start walking away. I mean, Toby Soriano is still closing the gap. It was about a 3-second gap earlier, now down to about 2.2 seconds. But as well, Toby Soriano already 2 seconds over Jackson Sanjay. So it's like these guys found another gear and have just been starting to walk away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, the two Argentines really show their form that we saw in qualifying as well, before the upper cut was upset basically by Peter Zuba coming in steaming through to take away the Argentine 1, 2, 3. They were fast in qualifying, and no doubt race pace, they're exhibiting the same thing even when they were stuck behind traffic. But now that the race is starting to open up a bit after the first round of pit stops, this is where the two are going to come into their own. Felipe and Soriano are teammates, of course. You can see by the same color of their cars. They are just probably waiting for the right time to further this gap.
Yeah, we can see out there as well. Speaking of some of these drivers, we've got to hear from them before of just how tiring it can be. I mean, going 90 minutes straight, even in a lot of these endurance races, unless you're a driver that does a lot of endurance races out here in iRacing, you might not be used to just, I mean, some of these guys, I know Pedro Dean's mentioned it once of, hey, out here, especially when you're in some of these higher downforce vehicles, having to really do a lot of steering inputs, just, again, depending on the track as well. But a track this long can really start wearing you out after 90 minutes straight. I know some of these guys, typically, you have your team whenever you do other endurance races longer than 3 hours. So although it's a little bit longer races, hey, it helps out immensely just to even be able to take a quick 5-minute break, be able to get some water, be able to just, you know, rest your forearms, rest your shoulders a little bit in the sim. So not quite as grueling as, again, some people will say, hey, it's just sim racing. How hard can it actually be? But whenever you're at the highest level of sim racing, these guys take it serious as they would as if it was a real life race.
Yep, and it's like the old adage that Jimmy always says, Jimmy Broadbent. The cars may be fake or virtual, but the racing is definitely real. And certainly, these guys are living the spirit competition to the fore. Now we're coming up to two guys who have been involved in rather unfortunate incidents. This is Pedro Dean in front of Pedro Zuba we're on board with. And behind the both of them is Roman Pascucci, who was the one that actually accidentally took out Pedro Dean quite a few laps earlier. So really, it's going to be an interesting matchup, and whether or not some of these guys will remember those previous skirmishes.
And taking a look back at the schedule this season. So this is the only race that has the LMP2 on the calendar this season. So definitely we've seen a little bit more in previous seasons, kind of a swap back and forth, GTPs, GTEs, again, just different car classes. So out here with there only being really 5 races out for AMX 15 this season, these guys have to take advantage of every single race that they can. We're switching it up a little bit more this season compared to even AMX 20 last season. We're out here last time around, I can't believe that was already 3 weeks ago. We were out at Mount Panorama, out at Bathurst in the V8 supercars. So such a different car to drive compared to these. And definitely we got to see a little bit different results again from some of these drivers. Well, next time we'll be coming around the grand finale of AMX, the season finale. AMX 15 finale will be back in the GT3 cars out at Suzuka. So like we said, Amir, Suzuka always is another great place to see, especially in GT3s.
And of course, make no mistake, Suzuka is also the place where champions are crowned. So you can remember all those iconic moments in the Japanese Grand Prix, for example. Either at Fuji or Suzuka, championships going all the way to the wire. That is exactly what's going to be the scenario there. Though reputation's a bit slanted towards Blainat's favor. He has done this race and will collect full points, whereas Valero, who's now 4 laps behind Martin Chico, might find it quite hard to claw back the advantage to Blainat in that for a couple of rounds after this.
Now, so we're almost at the halfway point in this race, and again, right now, some of these drivers, well, as soon as I was about to say that, it looks like just Marco Saavedra almost kind of taking a peek to the inside, so didn't quite have the run, not going to try and dive into there. Again, he's still in 5th place, so Bruno DeCarmo holding it strong down there in 4th, right behind his teammate Jackson Senjay in 3rd. But again, over a 3-second gap between 3rd and 2nd place, so Toby Soriano has just been walking away again lap after lap. Now, the gap to 1st place is only 1.7 seconds, so I'm sure we'll have to see again, if Toby Soriano starts catching up to Dino Filippo, will Dino Filippo try to go for the undercut? We'll just have to wait and see, as right now still, Jackson Senjay, Bruno DeCarmo, the 2 Delete Esports, both of them would love to get on the podium, have 2 teammates on the podium. I know every time we love seeing it, like we said last time, we've got to see early on in the season, the Brazil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So not sure if that's going to happen out here in AMX 15 today, but these guys will love to at least have 2 of them on the podium. Right now, still, they still have to be checking their mirrors for Marco Saavedra because he's been hanging on pretty much these entire last several laps really close to the backside of Bruno De Carmo. So trying to just put the pressure on, maybe force some mistakes, but Bruno De Carmo not having any of that so far. And Amir, I mean, just from this rear shot, that face on the front of the car of Marco Saavedra is just uncanny valley.
Well, I'm not sure what kind of uncanny valley are we looking at. Maybe if you squint hard enough, yeah, you might see a bit of Lightning McQueen there. Or the Italian car that was in Cars 2. Oh, that rather awful movie, you're not gonna lie. But yeah, if you're driving and you see that kind of car coming into your rearview mirrors, it feels quite ominous. It's almost like your heart is gonna sink. You'll be asking yourself, can you hold on to this position for a couple of more laps longer to prevent an onslaught? And for this particular instance, Bruno De Carmo is going to be the first to meet up with a fired up Martin Saavedra.
And that's kind of become Saavedra's staple out here in AMX. I mean, pretty much so many different cars, whatever he's in, you can tell he loves just running the Lightning McQueen livery. But yeah, I mean, seen from the front view of it though, I can't tell if that looks like there's a mouth that is painted on just the ominous white smile on top of the bonnet there, right between the two headlights. So that's what I was saying. Looks a little bit uncanny there of you picture the headlights as the eyes instead of the eyes being up on the windshield. I mean, there's tons of memes out there of if these guys, hey, what would happen? What would it look like if cars actually use the headlights for the eyes? And yeah, it looks quite creepy, as we can see now coming back up onto the back straight, but still nonetheless, yeah, kind of holding off pretty strong. Just no one really trying to do anything too crazy right now. We see a few moves earlier on about halfway through the race, and as soon as I start saying something, there he goes out of the draft right in front of Bruno De Carmo.
Yeah, lovely move there from Saavedra to get in front. He really sized up that move a few corners earlier at Eau Rouge and Radion, used the slipstream to good effect, and literally Saavedra slingshots past the Brazilian, and now he shot himself up to P4.
So we'll have to keep an eye out for Marco Saavedra, able to gain one position. So now he's trying to come for that podium as well. So again, I think as well as these guys going super fast around here, being excellent drivers all day long, it's going to come down to when are they going to hit that second pit strategy. It worked out excellent for some of the guys in front. Dino Filippa, Toby Soriano really having a great pit strategy early on, but where are they going to come out? And speaking of guys going blazing fast around here, Guy Alvalero still out on track now, taking the fastest lap away from Toby Soriano. So although he's still about 4 laps down, 5 laps off of the lead, he just set a blazing 2 minute 4.6 seconds. So like I said, I think a lot of this, he can technically be disqualified for not making qualifying and not having an attempt at qualifying, but I think, again, he's really just trying to get in here, see if he can make it in for heat number 2 and try to do some damage control going into the last race of the championship.
Yeah, maybe the championship for him is still mathematically possible, but missing qualifying and having the looming specter of potential penalty afterwards is not a very nice feeling. So he might be wishing that other drivers in front of him might be falling into back disc clutches and on the lead lap as well to stand any chance of trying to delay on Blade Knight to win the AMX 15 championship.
And so we got to see now, I mean, it's so crazy to see in these cars, the LMP2s, they sound so much different when you're driving them versus on the outside. I mean, it's still a small V8, so 4.2 liter V8 out here. I don't know if I'd say small. I'd say that's pretty standard whenever you have a lot of other places in the world. A lot of Italian cars, German cars, the V8s, a lot smaller. I'm used to, a 6 liter and up huge V8s out here, 7 liter V8s. Even I'd say probably the smallest, which is still rather large in the Cadillac GTP car out there as well. So yeah, but nonetheless, it seems like you hear a lot more of that rumble on the inside, so it's still fun. I think, honestly, any V8 car out there, whether it's a super high-revving V8, whether it's something a little bit more American, you got the big boats out there. I love driving them all. They're all a great time. But speaking of a great time out here, I mean, still, Dino Filippa was having a great time, but now he might start feeling the pressure of Toby Soriano as that gap has gone all the way under 1 second. So 3 second gap has now turned into less than 1 second for our top 2 drivers.
Yeah, and that's very, very close indeed. But how much will Felipe yield to Soriano? Because again, these two are teammates, and for the championship stakes, that's where it becomes really important. At this point right now, yeah, for Soriano, he needs to get all the points he could get right now. He's P3, just about 70 points behind our current championship leader, Juan Blainat. So will he try to do a Hail Mary maneuver, or is he going to wait for the right time to strike? We're really not sure right yet. Sure right now, because the second round of pit stops has not started yet.
And I can see there, see some of these guys out there celebrating Max Verstappen. So, I mean, I don't want to give spoilers away, but it looks like Twitch chat's already given some spoilers. So, say what's up to those guys out there. I see Crane out there. Some of the red line guys. I don't know if they might have just rated our stream. So, hey, what's up, everyone out from red line? We love you guys. We got to see them. I think I got the notification earlier from Crane's stream that, hey, they were out there just catching the last out there. But I see everyone out there, the doot. Max Verstappen, unfortunately, hey, spoiler alerts for everyone out there. Looking like he did a great job. What's up, everyone out there in Twitch chat? We love seeing you. We love seeing you out on the track. Hey, AMX Zero, free to join. Shameless plug out there going on next weekend. So make sure to head over to amxrace.com. All of you guys can get signed up. So, yeah, a bit of a shameless plug right there. But, hey, what'd you expect? Right now, lap number 25 out of here, this 90-minute race in heat number 1. Dino Filippa doing an excellent job leading over Toby Soriano. Amir, what do you think is going to be the strategy between these two drivers? Are they both going to wait until the last possible minute to pit, or is one of them going to try to go for the undercut?
Yeah, good question there, Kevin. I think if Soriano wants to actually try and force his hand to Filippa, he will be the one trying to pull the undercut, as opposed to Filippa going in first and then doing the undercut afterwards. So again, it's that, and maybe a matter of team orders might come into play, because just like, or rather, unlike what have McLaren been doing so far in F1 this season, they have not been able to swap drivers at the right possible time to minimize time lost to the drivers behind. So Soriano then has to make a tough choice. Where is he going to let go Soriano up to the front of his entire field, so that he could just focus on his own race and try to win it from there? So interesting to see how this particular tangle plays out.
And you can see just the focus right there now from Dino Filippa, right there in the bottom left-hand corner. Again, he was just kind of setting fast laps out here, just doing some hot laps for the majority of this race once he came out of the pits. But now, having to worry about Toby Soriano right behind him. But as we say that, the battle for third place going on down there. The Delete Esports side driver, Marcos Saavedra, in the Uncanny Lightning McQueen, now making the move, going to the inside. Will he be able to hold on to it? Looks like he will. Slot right back in front. And now, Marcos Saavedra is fighting for that podium spot.
Wow, that was a very good maneuver there from Saavedra to get up to P3, and for Filippa to fend off Soriano as well. It's been pretty good here. He doesn't have to do much. We're looking at two separate battles. There's third place, all the way to fifth coming through on the top bar shot, but the battle for P1 still very close between Soriano and Filippa.
So we'll have to see again. I'm just not going to get over just the Uncanny Lightning McQueen. So, I mean, depending where he finishes, man, I know that's his thing, and I love it on most cars. For some reason, LMP2, it's creeping me out. But out here, I mean, I think there's been the most red cars we've seen in the lead out here. But right now, Marcos Saavedra, now that he's gotten up into third place, is definitely going to be trying to make it an Argentine 1, 2, 3. We got to see out in qualifying these guys. Again, a quick reminder from qualifying, it was Peter Zuba getting the squeeze in last second around, only about 20 seconds left in qualifying when he came in, get that top spot away from Marcos Saavedra, Toby Soriano, and Roman Pascucci. So Roman Pascucci now still in 10th place, so although he had a great qualifying session, just a little bit unlucky out here for heat number 1. Again, heat number 1, triple the points from qualifying and heat number 2. So these guys really going to have to lay out all on the line. But Dino Filippa and Toby Soriano, Amir, this is going to be the battle to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that now they're trading slipstream with each other. Though, if this was to be the case, this might help big time, because if he actually still stays behind Soriano to Filippa and manage to close out to him by the slipstream but not overtake, he will not lose time. In fact, Saavedra will be the one that will be the biggest loser out of all this because he doesn't have anybody to tandem draft with, apart from bringing along Jackson Ducende and Bruno De Carmo. So he will be in a situation, in a spot of bother.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have to see exactly. Again, I think we knew coming into this one, pit strategy is where it is all going to be at. So Toby Soriano might go for the undercut. It's really hard to say because both of these drivers, even without the draft, I expected it to be such a huge thing out here in the LMP2 cars, but these two have proven me wrong so far. And there we can see through Sector 1, both Toby Soriano and Marco Saavedra still gaining time over Dino Filippa. So now I'm starting to wonder if Dino Filippa didn't take tires in that first pit stop.
Well, you can see him visually and visibly. He's sliding through the corners there, coming up through pit path, and now Stavolo. It looks as though Soriano is the one that has more grip in his car and the bit between his teeth. Let's see if he was to get a bit bullish here to try and overtake his fellow countryman and teammate Dino Filippa coming through to the chicanes. He's not that close enough. He might be close enough next time by into the Camel Straight if he's just within that second. Doesn't even need DRS. He just needs a good slipstream to get by. That we saw a couple of drivers doing it prior to that, like Juan Blanat, to just overtake on the outside and be relying on the other drivers in front. In fact, it's going completely against whatever strategy we're thinking of. Here is Soriano coming in for his second and final mandatory stop. Let's see where he comes out to.
Yeah, I mean, I really expected Dino Filippa to be the first of those two drivers to pit. But, hey, I mean, if he's just comfortable enough to stay out there, even though we've seen him slipping and sliding a little bit, but here comes a lot of other people right behind Toby Soriano. So we got Jackson Asenge out there. We got Sardegna out there as well. So Gerard Sardegna coming in. We'll have to see if these guys, if this is the move to really make it happen out here in heat number 1. Again, Dino Filippa, there is a reason, though, that he's gotten a real-life seat. There's a reason that he has been with some of the best, going from sim racing out into real-life racing. So I know he's going to make his sim racing team out there proud. I know he's going to make his teammates, his countrymen, as well as his real-life teammates. So we got to mention earlier on him and Gustavo Ariel, both of those guys, part of the Racing Prodigy draft, going from sim racing and able to score a real-life contract out of that. So, of course, a little bit different from those guys in the sim racing world, but they have yet both been competing against each other out here in AMX, both of them ending up out in real life as teammates. So once again, it's awesome to see them back out here. Dino Filippa, he's not really fighting for the championship per se right now, but definitely Toby Soriano will have to keep an eye on him, as well as Juan Blanat, the two closest in the lead for the championship since Gael Valero missed the qualifying early on today.
Now, what happened to Saavedra? Because he definitely lost a bit of time here to Filippa, and he's got the Carmo chasing him for good measure as well, with Blanat further behind. So really, who is going to blink first in this particular battle between the guys from second all the way to now? You can even include fifth if Zuba is involved. And now Filippa comes to the pits. He will be hoping to get rid of these tires and run all the way to the end, the final 15 laps on brand new slicks.
So this is where it's going to be at between Dino Filippa, Toby Soriano, and now Marco Saavedra opting to still stay out. So a lot of these guys went in on the lap number 13, lap number 14, and now a lot of them 27. So yeah, we'll have to see. Pedro Zuba still yet to go in. Ruben Llorente, Marco Saavedra now the last ones to hit the pits. Everyone else has already taken their other second mandatory pit stop of the day. So our top three, we'll have to see where they shuffle into the grid once they get back out into traffic. But Toby Soriano, definitely it's his race out here to win. Again, I think no matter who it's going to be, Amir, we're going to probably see one of the Argentine drivers atop the podium.
We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see how that plays out. Filippa comes out of the pits. He's going to be the first to meet Pedro Zuba. Where is Zuba in relation to him? No, he's not come out of the right place where his... In fact, no, he has overtaken it. But Zuba is already further up the track anyway, so that's why we didn't see any activity between the deltas. Now it's left only 3 drivers to do their extra pit stop as part of the mandatory requirements. Saavedra, Zuba, and Lorente, with Lorente being the early leader at one point.
And so here we go. Right now, still lap number 29 of 43. So we're about an hour into this thing out of 90 minutes. So these guys, 2/3 of the way through. You can tell some of them just getting a little bit tired already. Again, it's a lot easier whenever you're on this cars and this track. You're used to it being a team race. Typically, most guys don't usually go more than 2 stints at a time. So a lot of the times you see these cars out here from 45, 50 minutes roughly, just depending on the track, depending on how hard you're pushing it. But by this time, they would have almost already been getting ready to either get back in the car, get out of the car again, just depending on their strategies. But nonetheless, an hour into this thing, some of these guys, especially if they have their force feedback turned way up, are going to be feeling it. So Spa, not the easiest track to win a race at, but so far, these guys are definitely putting on a great show today.
Yeah. Taking a bit of a breather there for a second just to catch our breath before it gets any more intense right now. And in fact, the guys who have done their second stops here, we're looking at them right now. That's Blaine up behind Resende again with the Carmo. So really he can't shake off the Brazilians. He has to go chasing after them as Saavedra comes into the pits. He's still in his box. Now he's going here, but he's going to lose the lead to Felipe. And now Soriano as well. So on track in terms of overall delta and the net positions, he is somewhere around the region of P3 right now, because there you go, he's behind his fellow Argentines. That's still a net 1-2-3 for them. But we'll wait and see what Zuba and Lorente do for their pit stops.
Yeah, and one thing that people have brought up before is it would be great to see the introduction of just multiple tire compounds in some of these different classes. Just add that extra bit of challenge for the drivers. So, I mean, I'm sure if they had it, that would be a little bit easier. Instead of just saying, all right, guys, you have to have 2 mandatory pit stops. Say, you know what, now you have to have 2 different tire compounds as well. So it'd be an extra challenge. And now we get to see that out there in the IndyCar Pro Series in iRacing. Those guys switching back and forth between tire compounds throughout the race. So really only taking 1 pit stop out there on the road races. Whoa, Marcos Saavedra almost getting a little bit loose. So a great save right there, able to hold on to that podium position. So once again, he knows he has Bruno De Carlo, Jackson Senjay. They're still hungry to get back up onto the podium. It was looking good for them early on in the race, but Saavedra just started to outpace them as the laps went on. But again, we'll have to see as these guys have already hit their second pit stop of the day. Still, Peter Zuba, Ruben Llorente, the only drivers yet to hit that second pit stop.
Yep, and we're looking at Saavedra right now, who's leading one of the other drivers who have made their second starts. In fact, among the outliers here, apart from the guys who are in first and second, look at Valero. 4 times he's been in and out of the pits. That might just be some major trouble. As Zuba now comes to the pits, we'll wait and see where he funnels out compared to the Argentine and Brazilian contingent. There's Zuba on the right hand side of your screen, and on your left, that is Marcos Saavedra looking over his back, waiting for something to happen between himself and Bruno De Carlo. But Zuba's still in the pits. That is definitely a full service, tires and fuel. Car is off the jacks, and he is now on his way. But can he get it out in time before Saavedra and De Carlo come in to shot right in front of him?
So here we go, folks. Right now, still lap number 31, and we have 1 person left. Ruben Llorente now, Dino Felipe, Toby Soriano, Marcos Saavedra looking the best for the podium. So we'll have to see. We know all 3 of them would be so excited, not just to be out here, what it means, especially for heat number 1, it being triple the points. They'll be able to sigh a sign of relief for whoever takes home the win out here, but it's still not over yet, folks. We still have about 12, 13 laps left in this race. So what we've seen from previous AMX 15 races is a lot of times things can still come down to the very end of the race, whether the drivers are starting to feel a little bit of fatigue, whether they're just starting to lose focus. So not just physical, but fatigue that I think a lot of people think of whenever you say that, hey, these drivers out in the sim. I think really the big thing is that mental fatigue of, hey, you're driving out here 90 minutes straight. I know there's some other races out there in iRacing, especially seeing some of the IMSA stuff once you go over 2-hour races. So definitely you have to have the mental capacity to be keeping up out here if you want to end up on that podium, taking home that hardware.
Yep, and you're gonna have to keep your wits about it, especially when you got equally matched opponents. Though our fears are realized a bit because of the pit stops that come through with the accompanying pit strategies. The gaps have actually kind of opened up a bit big time. Don't mind Lorente and Filippo, of course, because Lorente still hasn't made his official second pit stop. But for the other guys, not at the sharp end, this is going to be a bit disheartening to see that the fast guys are carving their way through. Well, meanwhile, one of the other fast guys, Gal Valero, he's into the pits once again. Would you believe it? This is his 5th time in the pits. That might be something more seriously wrong as opposed to just being late for a qualifying session.
You know, I'm starting to think too of, well, like I said, hey, we got to see him yesterday. He was out there just kind of snacking whenever he was in the NASCAR race. So, yeah, definitely, Kyle Valero, no, just, hey, I'm still here. I'm just going to try to make it for heat number 2. Again, try to hold on to some of those points. So I'm not sure if as well he's new. Those guys are starting to catch up. Okay, I'm just going to hit the pits, maybe let all the traffic go by, get back out on the track. This whole time, we haven't seen him get involved in traffic. So still, although he is, you know, hasn't gotten black flagged, anything like that, he's still just been very courteous of the other drivers, saying, this isn't my race. I'm not out here in heat number 1 except to just try and get some track time. I'm not going to get in anyone's way. I'm not going to try to fight anyone, try to help anyone. I'm just going to be a ghost. Don't even pretend like I'm even here. So we'll have to see as Gael Valero, again, if he's going to be getting ready now. We still have just under 30 minutes left out here. So I'd say roughly 20 minutes or so going on for the rest of heat number 1. Lap number 32 out here. It is still Ruben Llorente out in first place, although he is yet to take that second pit stop. Dino Filippo, Toby Soriano, Marcos Saavedra, your top contenders for the podium.
Yeah, and again, that little caveat of, you know, you can see Llorente up in front, but the real fight for the actual winning positions is still between Filippo, Soriano, and Saavedra, the 3 Argentines. And then the Carmo coming into play as well. Behind him is Perez Zuba, waiting for that particular battle to play out, because now Zuba is going to be quite closely coming to the hairpin. Llorente is in the pit lane. Now let's see where he will come out in relation to the rest of the leaders coming through here. We might get a split screen on what's happening. On board right now with Bruno De Carmo coming into the chicane. Now, where is Zuba going to go? He's going to go inside, outside? No way through just yet. Bruno De Carmo plays his car quite well. Waiting for where is Llorente going to come out here. There's that picture-in-picture we're waiting for. Filippo retakes the lead. And it's still quite a long start here for Llorente. Waiting for the cars to come out of the jacks. This might be an opportunity here for the other drivers to just make hay while the sun shine and get into the podium positions now.
You know, one thing that's been a little bit confusing on today is just kind of looking at the livery of Peter Zuba. So we're used to seeing him in that race clutch red vehicle out there. So it's a little bit different seeing him in a different colored vehicle. So right now, catch up again, trying to see as the cars go by what is on the side of his car now. As now he goes. Again, we got to see this move early on. It didn't work out for him earlier, but he's able to get the move done right now over Bruno De Carmo. So Peter Zuba back up into 4th place. Still about a second gap between him and Marcos Saavedra.
And this time he doesn't have to go into this difficult corner, which is Brussels, or Rivage, where he got it completely wrong against Pedro Dean and knocked both of them out of there. This time, however, he made it up to Lake Combe, swept around the outside, and takes away the net. Oh no, and I was actually proper 4th place because of the pit stop for Llorente. So Zuba now aiming for that particular podium with Saavedra only just a second ahead.
And so here we go. We'll have to see again Bruno De Carmo as well as Jackson Sanjay. About a 4-second gap there we can see on Jackson Sanjay. So not really having his teammate to be able to help him as he's worried about the guys behind. So Juan Blenau, Roman Pascucci back there in the back fighting just a little bit as well. So much stuff going on throughout the grid. Again, right now, taking a look, everyone has finally taken their 2 pit stops. So this is very close to where we're going to see, as long as these guys don't start driving too aggressive, start going what we've seen about 25% of the way into this race. I don't know if it's roughly around lap number 12 that we started seeing some of these guys kind of being a little bit more aggressive than where they are right now. So like we said, we expect things to heat up. The Albas came out early on. Some of the I'm just waiting at this point for the gloves to come off, these guys really to start brawling, but so far so good. These guys trying to keep it clean for the most part. We'll have to see once it gets to the final 5 laps exactly if they're feeling the same way.
And of course in the same lap times as well, 205s even across the board. Minus Lorente 243 because of course he just came out of the pits. Don't mind that. Even Chico, who's about a lap behind, is lapping in the 05s. Now on board with Juan Blainat, this is crucial for his championship run. There's Roman Pascucci, his fellow Argentine behind. He doesn't seem to get a memo. He's not helping out Blainat trying to win the championship. He's going to try to win at least a race for himself here. Coming at the Lake Combe again. And it looks as though this time Blainat's got the better of Pascucci. But Pascucci is really fast in that final 2 sectors.
And just a quick reminder for those just checking in. So the championship battle is really close. Juan Blainat only leads by a mere 7 points over Gael Valero. But like we've mentioned time and time again, Gael Valero unfortunately not really doing much out here. He missed qualifying, so that gap is going to be really big after today's races. However, this is going to give plenty of opportunity for Toby Soriano to really start making his way up in points. He's already over 70 points down, 74 points down behind the leader of Juan Blainat to be exact in this championship battle. So this will be a big one for Toby Soriano. Dino Filippa, we haven't got to see him that much out here this season, so it's great to see him back out racing with AMX. Again, not really fighting for the championship out here. He's just fighting to try and take win, try to take those points for himself, just show what he can do out here. Again, saying, hey guys, I know I haven't been here, but you guys better not forget about me. I'm trying to implement my name out here, be able to be known that, hey, anytime I show up on this racetrack, expect me to be on the podium.
Yeah, and we're coming to the closing stages now, this particular heat, and a very long one as well. Let's see what is going to entail here between Pascucci and Blainat once again. And, well, they got at least another car for company this time around. It looks like Resende. It is Resende. So, about 9/10 of a second between Resende and Blainat, and 5/10 between Blainat and Pascucci. This is going to be interesting because, again, we know how much of a hard defender Jackson Resende can be. But Pascucci as well, we've seen how he could make brilliant overtakes, but then when a mistake happens, it happens big time, especially with Javier Pedrodin. So, let's see then, coming out to the Lake Combe from the Camel Straight. Would this be a try? No, not just yet. But it is really fun to see how the championship leader now is not caring about racing and all that. He just wants to get the easy points here to set himself up for the final round of the season.
And so, yeah, the battle as it goes on in the middle of the pack. Some of the drivers kind of spreading out a little bit, especially between our top 4 drivers now. A 3.5 second between Dino Filippa, Toby Soriano, 2.5 seconds between Soriano in second and Saavedra in third place. Peter Zuba, the closest to really give a run, but it looks like he's starting to fall behind just a little bit. So really, with these last several laps out here, it's going to be all out. You can see right there on the side of the screen what is at stake for these drivers. $90 going out for first place, $60 going for second place, $54 going for third. And like I mentioned, everyone out there on the grid that made it after qualifying, again, in qualifying as well, $30 for first place. Hey, that's not looking too bad. So definitely the stakes are higher out here. The I rating's higher. We get some of the best in the world. I know we got to see earlier Luke Crane out there, part of Team Redline. Not one of the drivers necessarily, but he is their host, does a lot of commentating. We had him as well here. If you go back after this race, check out Real Racers Never Quit. You'll get to see plenty of some great action going on out there. Luke Crane, of course, hosting that, as well as some of those that attended the ADAC Sim Racing Expo may have noticed him from there. So he's very well known, very well liked guy around the sim racing community.
And for those who don't know, his actual user handle is Actual Vision. So if anybody's competing in Actual Vision Sim Racing League, yeah, that's the guy.
And back out here, lap number 36. So, I mean, Peter Zuba, again, you can see, well, you can only kind of see. His face is a little bit cut off there from his driver cam, but I mean, just enough that he's still just focused, trying to hold off Bruno De Carmo. Again, these guys have been going back and forth all day long out here, so it should be interesting once these drivers really get to reset. I mean, I know they only have about 5 minutes roughly, not too much time for them to really reset between heat number 1 and heat number 2, but again, things always seem to get shaken up just slightly after these drivers go from being worn out 90 straight minutes out here just trying to focus, get a little bit of a break, hit that reverse grid, and then back out on the track again. We'll have to see if Dino Filippa, Toby Soriano, any of these guys towards the front of the pack are going to be back out here for heat number 2, able to do the same thing. Not as much time. A lot of this has come down to them having great pit strategies, really putting them in the lead early on and just holding on to it, being patient and just driving like crazy to be able to keep that lead.
Yeah, but on the flip side for Filippa, he didn't really have to push too hard because 3.1 seconds, he made all that time out because he wasn't stuck with anybody in front of him, and didn't have to deal with anybody behind him. He just had a much clearer run to the front while everybody else was still busy scrapping. So that is crucial for him, why he built up that 3-second lead over Soriano. And in terms of where he is in the championship for AMX 15, I think that might just be his first win in the entire championship in AMX 15.
Yeah, it'd be a great one. I know, like I said, all of these drivers, they would love to be up on that top spot, but the way it's going is looking very convincing, very good for Dino Filippa. So he's just had an absolute perfect drive. I mean, he was setting fast lap after fast lap. Of course, Gael Valero kind of hopping on track, just doing his own thing, trying to take that fastest lap away from these guys. But outside of Gael Valero, it does look like right now that is going to be Dino Filippa setting the fastest lap out of everyone else. So again, that is why he has come out here still looking calm, cool, and collected. I mean, I'm always reminded whenever we get to see that cutaway of the driver cams, one of the races that just had the sun absolutely blinding him when he was in an absolute intense battle. So battling the other drivers, battling the sun itself to try and not crash and get up onto the podium. So it's always a great time, all these drivers. But Amir, I mean, hey, we seen that in qualifying, kind of got a bit of predictions going on out here. And I'm going to say it right now, I have a good feeling we are going to have our Argentine 1, 2, 3.
Indeed, and Zuba, the Hungarian, still has not been able to respond in kind to the pace that the three Argentines have set in front. So that is set in stone unless something dramatic happens in the final 7 laps of this race after this. Meanwhile, in terms of drama brewing, here's Juan Blainat, our championship leader, by just 7 points coming to this. He will increase it bit by bit because he will be taking part in both races, though it's the case of what might have been had he not lose the lead, or rather had a better strategy to get back into the lead through his mandatory pit stops.
And here we go. So right now, lap number 37 out here in heat number 1. Again, 90-minute race for heat 1, a 30-minute race for heat number 2. 3 times the length in heat 1, 3 times the points, and these guys have been showing it, been trying to push as hard as they can. We've had a couple incidents early on in this race, but I think pretty much since everyone took that second pit stop, it's been all clean racing the rest of the time. So although right now we got to see a bit of a train going on right there, we got to see 7th place now. Jackson Asenge, Juan Blainat, Roman Pascucci got a bit of a train going on. Everyone out there battling for P6. And again, not quite as much the battle for the lead as those guys have spread apart, but these guys all throughout the grid still trying to gain one more place where they can, because whenever we got the points high like this in heat number 1, each place makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and much of a difference here in terms of the gap. You can almost put a piece of paper between the both of them. They're so close right now between Resende, Blainat, and Pascucci. And Pascucci might have to be careful here after what happened at the early stages of the race where he took out Pedro Dean here. Yep, he's more circumspect now. And given the fact that in front of him is his fellow countryman Juan Blainat, who he will definitely not want to take out, especially that he is in such a comfortable position in the championship right now. So the ball is definitely in his court to just put one hand on the trophy.
So he's here. I mean, it's almost just mesmerizing just seeing these guys because, again, they're not really trying to battle it out too much. They know that the time is starting to run out slowly, but again, they're just really pushing where they can. I think a lot of these guys that really started to pit together, kind of coming out of the pits together as well, haven't really tried to do anything crazy, not really tried to do too much, but a lot of these guys looking right now went into the pits about lap number 27 and lap number 28. So between laps 26 through 28 seem to be the majority of the drivers going in there. Of course, we get to see Martin Chico, unfortunately, now down a lap back, hit it early. Again, it's just not been his day for Martin Chico out there. Still great to see him out here. Again, if he ends up out in 12th place, that's still not a bad place to be with where the points are for heat number 1. But you know he's going to look to hopefully get back out there on to heat number 2 and try and at least get towards a top 5 finish during qualifying as well. Just struggling a little bit, but like I said, I just commend all of these drivers and their perseverance out on the track. I know it's a lot easier to say what's going on up here in the booth, but if I was out there on track, it'd be a whole different story.
Yeah, ditto to that, especially given the fact that how treacherous iRacing can be when you get it completely wrong. Though if you get it right, it really does feel really good. It's just that you have to know how you just get into the nuance of it, you know, how you can brake, how to accelerate early, then use some of the known physics hacks in the game to get a even faster lap time. So again, those kind of things come together if you know what to do. For guys who are falling behind a bit, like here for example, Pascucci and Blainat, they are just banking on the fact that the other guys in front might just be making mistakes. So again, you're not in the clear even if you're really far ahead, but it does help that you can be a bit careful when you want to bring the car around to bring it home.
And out there, one thing I was thinking about is, I mean, it's such a beautiful day out here at Spa, but one of the things that we haven't really seen that much is, I think one of the drivers even posted in Discord of like, hey, you know what would be pretty cool if we actually raced something that wasn't out here during the day, if maybe we had a bit of a night race going on, something a little bit different. I know we had some beautiful shots from the very first AMX 15 race, just out there, that golden hour going on, the sun shining through the rain clouds going out. So, I mean, just the lovely weather change, especially out here. Again, clear skies all day long, but it definitely changes how you have to approach these, especially in such fast cars like this. You got to see that at the Petit Le Mans not too long ago, of just how much it changes how you have to approach the track once the sun sets and you're really just relying on your headlights, relying on all that. Of course, multi-class racing a little bit harder at night than if it was just a single class, but yeah, I mean, hey, you never know what we're going to see for future seasons, if we're going to end up with some races that end up going into the night, if we're going to have any multi-class, anything like that. So like I say all the time, stay tuned, follow all of our social medias, follow all of our updates on the website, and hey, be the first to know whenever we introduce new stuff out here for AMX.
Yep, especially given the fact that this particular season's new format is what everyone was looking forward to, a mini endurance race. Rather, this is more of a Grand Prix layout because look at the number of laps they had to complete. It's 43. We're just one lap short of completing the actual Grand Prix distance, so that's why it's one they look forward to. The drivers like some longer races because it really allows them to explore multiple setup options and how they can run the strategies. Though, to add also to that is a sprint race afterwards, which is a bit shorter compared to what they do in the feature races, so to speak. It just gives that extra layer of nuance that the driver is really relishing when you want to handle it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always great to hear feedback from some of the drivers. I know got a lot of feedback over the mid-season break as well. So one of those things being changing up the format a little bit for AMX 10. Some of these guys said, all right, I mean, I know these are sprint races and it's supposed to be a little bit more challenging, but we got a lot of feedback from a lot of different people out there. So now AMX 10, we've gone back to the typical, I'd say the very traditional AMX 20-20-20 format. So 20-minute qualifier, 20-minute heat 1, 20-minute heat 2 out there for AMX 10. So make sure again to catch up for that. We got that going on next Sunday where we are going to be taking it over to Germany out there at the Sachsenring as well as the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke. So TCR Grand Finale will be happening next weekend, and that one, again, things are looking very good for Gael Valero, but it isn't over until it's over. So we're going to have to see what happened. Again, some of the official results from the previous race. I know there may have been quite a few incidents that the stewards had to review. So we'll have to take a look at the reports, a look at the points going into next weekend, and see if Gael Valero will have the championship clutch going into next Sunday.
Well, you're talking about clutch, but again, his hands are not on the trophy right now, not even one. That belongs to Juan Blanat. And if Blanat could get a better second race than this first heat, he might just be able to say, okay, trophy is now my one for the taking.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I'm not sure if this might be the first time that Gael Valero is really feeling a lot of pressure out in AMX. I mean, if he really feels that pressure at all. I mean, every time we see him just absolutely stone cold, he comes out here, he comes out to win, and just, you know, he has that look of focus on his face. There's times that we've got to see, a lot of times when the drivers aren't doing some of these races that are too serious. I know some of the AMX5 things, it's great to switch it up a little bit, get in different kinds of cars that you don't normally drive, or even out in AMX Zero. I haven't really seen Gael out in AMX Zero much this season, but like I said, out here for AMX 15, a lot more is on the line in terms of prizes. I don't think he's too worried about the grand prize, that next level racing gear, as he's already gotten quite a bit of that. And like we said, the running joke of Gael Valero setting up his own shop out here with as much gear as he's been winning. But yeah, again, we'll just have to wait and see. Anything can still happen even this late in the race. There's only about a couple laps left. It is looking very good for the Argentine drivers up front. We've seen even in prior races, someone spinning out on the last lap, someone not fueling up enough to make it to the end. So we'll just have to wait and see before we make our final predictions.
Yeah, again, we'll save that up for when the championship really comes to the punch, which is the grand finale coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So watch out for that one. That's when we can really work out who really has kept the championship fight alive till then. Now, for the present time at least, we're looking at Tobias Soriano, Dino Felipe, and Marco Saavedra dominating it for the Argentines, with their fellow Argentine Juan Blanat taking an extra step here to the end of the season to be elected as champion AMX 15. How he would love that.
So I'm looking out here at the timing too. So yeah, these guys looking like this is probably going to be the penultimate lap out here. So again, Bruno De Carmo, he lost that position earlier on to Peter Zuba. Now Zuba just going to be having to defend. Again, the points difference between 4th and 5th. Some of the races not really too big of a deal, but once again, triple the points out here for heat number 1 than it is in heat number 2. So definitely we'll have to see as things brewing up. A little bit of a slide there. I kind of seen those wheels having to get a little bit of that oversteer going on from Peter Zuba. So again, these guys definitely starting to feel that tire wear a little bit, as well as we have another angle there, the battle going on for P6.
Yeah, it's just for the fringes, isn't it? Between Blanat and Pascucci, but I think Pascucci is thinking better of it. He doesn't want to threaten his fellow countrymen after what happened between himself and the Brazilian Perdudin. Maybe he's just hanging back a bit, trying to get a better starting position for that second heat, because again, just like the first heat, after qualifying, we flipped the script. Only in this one, we flipped the script based on race results.
And so now these guys about almost all the way through this lap as they come around the last couple of corners. Going to be starting lap 43 out here. So about 42 laps done. Amir, this one has definitely been maybe not as dramatic as some of the other races that we've seen this season, but these guys have all been performing at the top tier, at their best out here today. So from just a point of pure racecraft, these guys are putting it down. As with that, the white flag is out. Now we have Dino Felipe in first, Toby Soriano second, Marco Saavedra in third. But here is the battle that everyone's eyes are going to be on. It is Peter Zuba trying to defend off for 4th place against Bruno De Carmo, as well as another battle behind them between Juan Blanat and Roman Pascucci. Of course, Juan Blanat battling for chip points out here in this place, trying to keep his championship lead at bay.
Yeah, in fact, the championship will be a bit more tense right now for Blanat. Here comes Pascucci into Lake Combe. Is he going to try dinking? Yes, he did. He dinked on the inside there, but Blanat is well averse to it and holds on to P6 just for now. Meanwhile, Zuba has to do the same thing with the Karma, because the Karma was coming more and more ominous coming into the late cone themselves.
And so, yeah, we'll have to see again. I mean, just where these guys are, I don't think there's really that much. Bruno De Carmo not wanting to try to really make a crazy move, because he knows if he does that and it doesn't end up well for him, he could just entirely be throwing away his race. So I'm not sure if he's going to be okay necessarily with 5th place, but he knows the harder you push it, the more chance there is to make mistakes. Of course, Bruno De Carmo out here, he was one of those guys for Petit Le Mans. I believe they were either in split 2 or 3. I want to say they were in the 3rd split overall, but the Delete the Esports guys out there taking home the 1st place trophy for Petit Le Mans in their split. Definitely great to see them. So he's no stranger to this car, as well as Jackson essentially. So these guys definitely putting it down out there, getting a lot more comfortable with this car, a lot more comfortable with endurance racing as every single special event goes by. But just like that, folks, we're going to have to keep an eye on as the leaders are now rounding it out the last couple of corners. We have Dino Filippa looking like he will be coming out of here, the champion for heat number 1. A great race by the Argentine, and just like that, Toby Soriano, Marco Saavedra making it the Argentine 1, 2, 3 out here in AMX 15.
Wow, well, that's quite a response, isn't it? After the Brazilian 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is a trifecta of a podium between Filippa, Soriano, and Saavedra. So take about to those guys. Zuba claws his way to P4, and the Carmo in P5, with Blainat, our champion-elect, in P6, crucially, as Pascucci didn't get to overtake him, waiting for the rest of it to come by. And amazingly, Gerard Sardeni, who we saw up in the front in the early stages, has ended up right at the back.
Yeah, so just like that, again, it's unfortunate to see things like that. I mean, there's so many incidents that could have been so much worse. So still big kudos for all of the guys, for the most part, keeping it pretty good out here, pretty clean racing. I think this is probably, if I'm not mistaken, might have been the least amount of incidents in any AMX race that we've ever had. So we'll have to check up on that to see if that is true, kind of run the stats out of the archive. But here we go, Sardeni and Martin Chico now making their way around the back half of the track. Again, you know, you hate to be out there whenever you're finishing behind P10, but whenever the points are this big, I mean, still Sardeni can be walking away $15 for this one. Martin Chico also be walking away with $12. It isn't the worst place to be. There definitely can be worse places, especially all of them are going to be making that reverse grid, so expect Martin Chico to be up there on pole position. Again, we'll have to see exactly what is going on with Guy Alfalero for heat number 2 as well.
Well, I don't think he'll be in the best of talking moods anyway, so we'll rather not interview him afterwards. But here's the rest of the field coming by. Chico and Valero will be on the front row, but we'll wait and see how that will go, Kevin.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, yeah, these drivers already out there, just a bit of a sigh of relief we got to see from Dino Filippa, just saying, all right, I was able to do it. And that seems to be what we've seen quite a bit out here in AMX 15, is these guys just, okay, I'm glad I won that one, but I will celebrate later, because right now I just need to focus back up for heat number 2. But big congratulations, your BenQ session winner, Dino Filippa, out there holding it down for Argentina in heat number 1. And second place, we got Toby Soriano. Third, Marco Saavedra. Fourth place, we got Peter Zuba. Fifth, Bruno De Carmo. 6th, Juan Blainat. 7th, Roman Pascucci. 8th, Pedro Din. 9th, Ruben Llorente. 10th, Jackson SNJ. 11th, Gerard Sardeni. 12th, Martin Chico. And Guy Alvalero just kind of hanging out there in the pits. 19 laps down. Showed up a little bit late to the race, but hopefully we'll get to see him out for heat number 2. Again, with all that free space, setting faster laps than the other guys as well. So, yeah, but I think, Amir, it's time for everyone to get a bit of a break. These drivers have about a 5-minute warm-up. So with that, make sure everyone don't go anywhere, as we will be back for heat number 2 very shortly. And welcome back, everybody, as we get ready for heat number 2. These guys heading out on the grid now. A bit of a warm-up, a bit of a break, honestly, for most of the guys out there. You can just see, like I mentioned earlier, you got to see our winner, Dino Felipa, out in heat number 1, just having a bit of a sigh of relief, saying, you know what, I really want to celebrate, but at the same time, I'm starting to feel it, starting to lose focus a little bit, but these drivers are back now. We are heading into a sprint race for heat number 2, a 30-minute sprint race out there, so a third of the points compared to heat number 1. And if it's anything like we got to see, definitely it's going to be a battle. But one more person that I've seen now on the grid made it late, unfortunately didn't make qualifying. Again, was out there kind of a little bit later into heat number 1, kind of hanging out in the pits, just setting down some practice laps. Of course, Gael Valero, the man I'm talking about, is looking like he's going to be out here for heat number 2. Has not gridded yet, but as well, a lot of guys were still waiting to hit the grid, as we're going to have a very short formation lap before we go green. Amir, any predictions to what we're going to see out here in heat number 2?
Ooh, and it's going to be a tough one, but if Valero actually managed to make the start, I'm rating it quite highly to take the easy dub here. But make no mistake, you got Jackson Resende waiting to make something there in P4, and behind, beside him, is Gerard Sardeni, who was quite punchy in the first few corners as well. So that first corner and at the start of this race is going to be really interesting if something happens.
Definitely, and our drivers are off right now for the formation lap. So all of you out there watching live, you can scan the QR code on your screen, get all of the live time and information we have up here in the booth. But just like that, folks, just a couple of corners and these drivers will be back off. I expect it to be a little bit more aggressive out here for this sprint race. Like we said, not as many points on the line for heat number 2, but these drivers out here racing for pride just as much as they are racing for points. So we'll have to see, again, with the Porsche safety car out there setting the pace, getting ready. I mean, again, it's looking great for a lot of these drivers. Marco Saavedra, a lot of the Argentine drivers showing what they could do, the 1, 2, 3 in the very front of the pack. Let's see if they can make it a repeat for heat number 2.
Yeah, definitely Argentina Day also came quite early compared to Brazil Day, which just happened exactly a month ago now, to be honest. So really nice to see that the South American nations with proud sporting history, and in particular motorsports, are coming through to the fore in sim racing. Now they would like to do it all over again here, but with a tough opponent up in front, ready to run away with it.
Definitely, and for everyone out there watching at home, you can get involved in the action. Head over to amxrace.com, get signed up, especially if you are worried about, hey, I don't know where I want to be. AMX Zero is a great place for that. Free entries and free to anyone that wants to join. Completely open racing. Next time we'll be out here next Saturday, looking like we're going to be out at VIR. But with that, folks, the safety car is off. The pace car has left, and now it is Gael Valero leading the race. So a great start from Valero up in first place. Sardeni in second, Chico in third, and now we're going 2 by 2 out into turn number 1 out here at Spa. A great start so far from many of these drivers, but as we can see, a sea of the Argentines right in the middle and towards the back of the pack. They know they want to make their way towards the front, try to get on the podium once again. So the reverse grid coming into play. Pedro Dean getting involved in a couple of incidents now, trying to redeem himself for heat number 2. Juan Blanat as well, our current points leader, trying to get a better result for heat number 2. So we'll have to see as now these guys going on the back straight. Gael Valero still holding it off in the draft. Sardeni really close on, hanging on his rear bumper, however. So we'll see as they come back through. Sardeni, Chico, Rezende, all of these guys. Again, Amir, I'm not going to say anything. You know, I've said stuff last heat and bad things happen, but so far so good.
Oh, indeed, so far very good here right now, Kevin. And in fact, that the other guy that we did pick to do the business, Sardeni, he's right up into the tail of Valero. He's doing the job here, but can he actually try and do the deal to overtake Valero? We'll wait and see right now.
And so here we go. Again, I mean, just for the sake of the championship, I'm really rooting for Gael Valero out here again. It's going to be a really tight race all the way until next weekend. In 2 weeks, we will have the grand finale out here for AMX15, and it's still anyone's lead up at the front of the pack. Looking very good for Toby Soriano, Juan Blanat. Again, out here looking towards the middle of the pack. Juan Blinot still in 8th place, so there's not really much of a gap yet going on. Ruben Llorente is the only person I'd say kind of where that gap is forming right there in P5. So we'll have to see as our top 4 drivers still really close to each other. Again, things a little bit cleaner, but I don't expect that to last for so long because some of these guys have a bit of a grudge match to settle, whether it's in this class or in a different class of AMX racing. They know they want to get back up there. The Delinta Esports guys, of course, wanting to put it down for Brazil, wanting to put it down for their team. And so far, Martin Chico, Harris Sardeni, Jackson Sanjay looks like he has the best chance of getting out of that 4th place up. But like we say time and time again, anything can happen. As now we are heading into lap number 2 once again. Lap number 1, incident free. And hey, that's all I'll say out here. 2 heats in a row, incident free lap number 1. I think that's also a new record for AMX.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that when everyone's on the grid, safely negotiate the first few corners without any histrionics, you know that they've all done a good job. Now, that's part 1 done. Part 2, whether they can keep it steady and hold their nerve throughout the entire race with the other drivers competing is another matter altogether.
And so here we go still. Martin Chico, again, I mean, he's been having a little bit of an off day today, kind of been back and forth all over the grid, out in qualifying. Didn't really get a qualifying lap until kind of the later parts of that time. So time was starting to run out. He was able to get in there, still rounded out in 12th place in qualifying, but he's knowing, hey, I'm coming out here. I'm going to do what I can, defend for my life. It's a lot shorter race out here. Don't have to worry about the pit stops out in heat number 2. So we'll have to definitely keep an eye for Martin Chico out here in heat number 2.
Yeah, in fact, for Chico, he's gotten... Oh, that's a bit wrong there from Chico. He's got this Resende right behind him, and that is not exactly what he wanted. He ran a bit wide. That will allow Resende to get out to the back of him here, as Sardeni now as well. He's closing in bit by bit to Dallara up in front. This is a great battle for the top 4, and again, it kind of proved why that previous instances that we had drivers close together and conserving their tires and fuel, it may just be considered a bit bollocks right now because they're still going at it like hammer and tongs here for positions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, although it's I'd say a little bit smaller of a grid compared to what we might see in some other championships, it's still been just super tight race out here. I mean, of course, just by the championship standings, we can see how tight of a race it's been this entire time. No, right there we can see going around the outside. So these guys still trying to go 2 by 2 out here through turn number 1. I mean, again, Rouge ready on definitely those places that you probably don't always want to go 2 by 2, and just like that, yep, they get back in the train. So still these guys out here playing it super smart, not trying to risk it too much because they already seen in heat number 1. Some of these guys, when they're trying to go for those big overtakes, those big moves, it doesn't always work out. But here we go, Bruno De Carmo now, Pedro Dean. We'll see these guys battling it off. Pedro Zuba trying to hold the inside line, so don't want to go through wide, and still too wide. Pedro Dean with the inside line there, but will he be able to get it over the Delete Esports? No, he goes off into the gravel.
Oh, Dane's again involved in this one, and unfortunately for him, he's sent right to the back. First it was Pascucci, this time it's coming up to Lake Combe, so he's really not catching a break.
Yeah, and one of those things I think we've seen time and time again of just, I mean, you know, always getting involved in some of these just incidents that are super hard, but again, that's just super hard racing for these guys. So I think it's what we've seen this season. Pedro Dean, we know he has that championship mentality. We know he has a lot of skill in him, but it comes down to just the slightest bit of mistakes between drivers, whether or not you're, you know, causing an incident, being involved in an incident from someone else, or just simply a racing incident. Hey, anything goes out here. Well, not quite anything. I mean, we still do have the KARA out here, racing stewards, to say, hey, if some of these guys are being a bit too aggressive, being a bit out of line, they will have something to say for that. But I think, I mean, all day long, majority of these incidents have been these guys just, again, hard racing. Maybe only a couple of them may have been just someone sending it inside a little bit too hard. But so far out here, heat number 2, things are looking good right now. Lap number 3 as we're coming to the close of last final couple of corners. Guy Alvalero still in the lead, followed by Sardeni and Chico.
Yeah, still very close here. In fact, look at the lap times again. That very right-hand side. All of them are in the consistent 205s or 206. This is mad stuff. It's really why the best of the best have come to the fore here.
And so we'll have to see. Again, I mean, a lot of stuff that we've got to see from this season. Learned a lot. The drivers really being able to just push it to the limits. But it'd be awesome. I know there's a lot of other guys out here that are in the other iRacing Pro Series. Seen guys in the IndyCar Series. Seen guys out there in the F4 Series. But right now, still, again, great to see them out here on a Sunday when there's so much going on at the same time. I really hope to see, next season once things slow down just a little bit. Again, however, like I said, in between the off season, there will be that Hyundai Virtual End Cup going on as well. So make sure to check that out. A big partnership going on between several people. I know out there with Kunos and Assetto Corsa, Hyundai themselves, AMX going to be helping out with that. So definitely a great place if you want another championship outside of AMX. Take a look over there as well. So love to see, but still out here for AMX, a couple weeks left in this season. Amir, I mean, it's gone by super quick, as we say almost every single time towards the end of the season, but still, I hope there's some great things going on for season 7 brewing up in the background. I know we got a lot out here. Again, Gael Valero, we might have to see. It's been almost all season long. We expected Gael Valero to have 3 consecutive championships this season, and now it's coming down to the wire.
Yeah, indeed. And in fact that for Valero, it's damage limitation when it comes to trying to gun for that extra championship that he wants. Especially this is the top class for this season, MX15. He has Juan Blaynut for company on that for the top step. But with Blaynut's strong finish in that first heat, it's going to complicate his work just ever so slightly here in the second heat.
Yeah, and so, I mean, as you can see these drivers, again, I mean, I think Spa, just really depending on the car, of course, out here in the LMP2s, it's definitely still a very good match, but compared to previous seasons, I know we've had some of these guys out in the GTP cars out at Spa, a little bit faster going through some of these corners, but again, we got to see the chaos going on. I remember, I believe that was 2 seasons ago when we got to see Simon Demori just putting on an absolute great show out in the rain, similar to what we got to see going on from some of these guys in the Formula 1 race going on today. I mean, we're going to have to definitely catch up on that. We got to see a bit of spoiler alerts going on earlier on, but hey, I mean, it's all great fun out here. But yeah, I mean, the weather, we'll have to see what happens for the grand finale. Are we going to have the weather come into play? That was a big factor for the very first race of the season. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled if that's going to be a big factor for the grand finale, especially when there are so many points on the line.
Indeed, definitely going to watch out for that one. And now, looking at it here, remember, no pit stops to this one. This is a sprint all the way. Looks as though Valero is doing the exact same tactics that he's doing every single lap. If you notice that he's gone very narrow coming up to Pujon. He goes onto the inside line and then cuts back across to the racing line to prevent Sardeni from getting a slipstream. As you can see, every single driver in that top 4 having their cameras on right now to see what it's like to be driving in their point of view. Very stoic faces here right now, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely, especially right there. We can see the 4 drivers on the right side of the screen. Jackson Sanjay too. I mean, again, we always love just getting to see the emotion on these drivers as they go through. I mean, that's one thing that you quite don't really get as much all the time through real life racing. I mean, we get to hear some of the radios depending on what it is, of course, Formula 1, so we do get to see a bit of emotion, but out here, no helmets on these guys, getting to see all of their facial expressions, whether they're locked in, whether they're getting stressed out, or whether they're just, hey, sometimes a little bit calm and collected. We can see there, Gael Valero, he knows a lot is on the line for him in this race if he has any chance of keeping the lead. Again, we'll have to do some math on that to just see where things are at the end of the day going into the grand finale, but he knows, again, I'm not sure exactly what happened that he did not make qualifying, but what looked like a very, very tight battle. He's going to be a little bit glad if Juan Blaynot ends up finishing beneath the top 5. So Juan Blaynot right now currently in 7th place, as well as in heat number 1. He came in 6th place, so a bit of the mid-pack. We'll have to see if that's going to hurt him in the overall championship.
Yeah, but again, because of that rather decent finish that Blaynot had in that first heat, and Valero was kind of out of it, he will not be able to chip into that lead even if he wins this one. Yes, a win is going to be important, but you have to remember Blaynot was quite strong in that first heat as well. So, with more points on offer, he just made his workload a little bit hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from here on out, this race as well as the grand finale Gael Valero is just going to have absolute perfect drives every single time. Get out there, fight his way from the back of the field, get qualifying, get all the way through heat number 1, and then again heat number 2. So yeah, Gael Valero definitely has a lot of work cut out for him. But once again, Toby Soriano doing a great job in heat number 1. So as well, Dino Filippo, although he won the first heat, he came back out here. He's not fighting for championship points, but Toby Soriano is still in the fight as well. So it's really anyone's game. Again, are we going to have someone dethrone Gael Valero, or is he going to be having the drive of his life from here on out? All we have to do is just wait and see. So again, folks, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitch, get the alerts for when we go live, because this is going to be probably the closest championship we've ever had in AMX.
Yep, and coming into this round, 7 points between the both of them. It might be a bit bigger now, considering the fact that Blainat finished in that top, closer to the top 5, as opposed to being with Valero out of the top 10. It's just going to complicate matters on how the finale is going to go. We'll probably see how the permutations go on that one. But again, I did point out earlier, Blainat has at least one hand of the trophy for now.
Yeah, and I'm going to be curious also to see who else shows up for the finale that maybe we haven't seen all season long. Dino Filippo showed up today. We haven't seen him in AMX 15 this season, as well as a few of the other guys. So I know a lot of people want to see Duda Barrichello. We've seen him for AMX 0, but we've yet to see him for some of the higher classes. So we never know. It's right here. We get a full screen replay right there. We got the number 8, Marcos Saavedra, going to the inside, as well as the number 7. So again, just side by side. Look how close these guys are racing, man. It's just absolutely crazy. But oh, a bit of a snap oversteer right there from Saavedra. And luckily, he didn't take out both drivers, but unlucky for him, he got the worst of that, going off into the gravel trap, able to make his way back out on the road. Yeah, but at the cost of the fact that he is now right at the back of the entire field. So Saavedra, while he was lucky to get away with that, to his detriment, he's lost track position. Yeah, and with that one, I think unfortunately, unless someone else, an incident happens in front of him, that may be where he's sitting, already 3 positions back. So Marcos Saavedra having an amazing run out there in heat number 1, as well as in qualifying. He got 2nd place in qualifying, and I'd say, where was he? In heat number 1, he ended up on 3rd position. So yeah, he had a great run fighting his way through the grid. I mean, pretty much the entire time, he just took 1 position away, another position away. So we'll have to see. We're only about halfway through heat number 2, so definitely Marcos Saavedra, we know he has the racecraft, we know he has the pace. As long as he didn't get any real aero damage from that bit of contact, he should be starting to catch up a little bit to Pedro Dean. Pedro Dean now 1 second gap between him and Dino Filippo, so definitely a lot of action going on at the back of the pack right now as in the midfield. Jackson Asante trying to overtake Martin Chico. Martin Chico doing an amazing job out here in heat number 2, but he's going to have to give it up as now Jackson Asante able to overtake right before turn number 1.
Yep, and though Chico didn't really fight that hard because probably he had a slower run on the exit and maybe had to escape a penalty, so that's why he was just easily overtakeable, if that was a word, by Resende. But here comes Chico back at him again with the slipstream to try and overtake Resende coming out to Lake Home.
And here we go. So again, Martin Chico not quite having the run that he was expecting there, or quite hoping. Again, trying to play it safe. Like we said, he's had a bit of an incident going on out in heat number 1, kind of got thrown all the way towards the back of the pack, so he's trying to prevent that from happening again. You know, he wants to be on the podium, but hey, he will be probably happier with a P4, especially compared to that heat number 1 finish. But still, nonetheless, he has Ruben Llorente right behind him, having to really do a lot of mirror driving out here at Spa. So again, that's kind of been all day long. Martin Chico just been feeling the pressure from the drivers behind him, having to just defend for his life all the way from the very start of the race. Of course, dropped down 2 positions from where he was on the grid. He's trying to not make that 3 positions. And like we said, the start driver out here doing a great job so far. Speaking of the start drivers, one of the guys we haven't really seen out here that, we'll have to wait and see for next season if he shows up for endurance races or whatever else may be our high tier, other tier classes as well. Diego Villarreal. So we had yesterday during our NASCAR race, we had a mandatory pit stop going on to one of the heats, and unfortunately Diego Villarreal, although he came across the finish line first, he did not make that mandatory pit stop. So just again, heartbreaking all day long, but plenty of action as well. Definitely a lot of the sprint formats, these guys, whether it's a sprint, whether it's an endurance race, they're laying their hearts out on their sleeve, just leaving it out all on the track. But here we go, folks. Right now, we are lap number 9 of 14 out here for heat number 2. The running order still, Gael Valero in the lead, Gerard Sardegni second, and Jackson Sanjay in third.
And Soriano with the fastest lap there, so he's got pace for days here after winning that first heat. But since it's a much shorter format in the second heat, he's not been able to make any inroads. He has been able to go up to P10, but he and Felipe not making the sort of progress that they would have wanted to just do what they did in the first heat. Meanwhile, Chico is being hounded there by Lorente, and Lorente can literally read the back of his rear wing coming into Lake Combe, and once again, just like Resende, does an easy move to take it from Chico.
Yeah, and I mean, just like that, that's great for the camera, great for the advertisers. So, hey, definitely that's why you see a lot of these guys put in their sponsors on top of the wing, underneath the wing, on the rear bumper, no matter where it is, because we get great camera shots like this. You get to see how close these drivers really are to each other. But again, Martin Chico now still in 5th place. He's hoping, again, trying to just do a bit of damage control right now at this point. Some of the guys behind him showing, of course, they have faster pace than he does at this point in the race. But once again, he's been doing a great job of defending so far. For it to take that long to end up dropping down into 5th place, again, I know I would not be able to get out on the track with these guys and be able to do what they do, especially at this high level. But again, he has Roman Pascucci and Juan Blenat right now, the fellow Argentine drivers, right there behind, trying to battle their way all the way up to the podium. But this late in the race, I'm not sure if any of those other 2 Argentinian drivers are going to have enough pace to get up into the podium, especially when we have guys such as Jackson Asenji, Gerard Sardegni, Ruben Llorente up there, excellent defenders. So Martin Chico defending off his fellow countrymen. How long can he keep this going on? We see right there, just absolutely menacing right behind these guys. Sardegni in the number 1, right behind Gael Valero. So the battle is starting to heat up again for 1st place.
And crucially though, the fastest lap falls not into between both of them is Resende, who is the first to be in the 204s, a 204.9, as opposed to 205.4 for Valero and Sardegni. So Resende, then we don't see him in that particular onboard. We're onboard with Sardegni right now, but he's not that far away. He is actually within that Goldilocks zone where he can actually be taken in by the slipstream and try his luck while trying to overtake. Here goes Sardegni looking on the inside, coming onto the camel straight. No way through just yet. Valero, very canny in his defending, really has done a brilliant job so far in preventing guys who definitely would be faster because of the slipstream to come through, has not overtaken him.
Yeah, so again, Gael Valero has a lot to lose out here, so he's definitely going to be putting on the drive of his life for the rest of heat number 2. I mean, he's already been doing an amazing job so far. Came out of the pits on heat number 1, just trying to get some practice in. It'll set down a fast lap time, so he knows he has that outright pace over a lot of these other guys. But will he be able to hold on to the lead? So far, doing an amazing job. He was on pole position for heat number 2, and he has not given up 1st place since. So Sardegni definitely going to have to pull something out of his hat if he wants to get that win, as well as Jackson Asenji. So he's going to be glad to put it down for Brazil out here, get Delinte on the podium, but he'd much rather be taking those sweet points away from Gael Valero. Jackson Asenji, Gael Valero have had a bit of a friendly rivalry pretty much all throughout all of the AMX seasons. No matter what cars you put them on, no matter what track they're at, those 2 drivers have been known to go back and forth time and time again. So we'll have to see if Jackson Asenji is able to overtake for P2. We might have that same battle going on out here, especially when there's so much at stake for Gael Valero.
Yeah, he's the one that's going to be feeling the most pressure in this particular instance. Sardegni and Resende would just be loving to take the win away or kicks. As someone pointed out, France versus Spain. And we know how that played out during the recent European Championships, UEFA European Championships. It was a wonder strike from Yamin Lamal, and that pretty much set the tone for Spain's entire tournament in that one. So Sardegni might want to channel his inner Yamin Lamal and try to break the French defense.
So here we go again. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering how much different it would have been if Gael Valero would have made it out here for heat number 1 in time. Again, Dino Filippa just absolutely dominating out there for heat number 1, but it could have been a very different story. But like they say, hey, again, I'm not sure if we could have scripted this any better. Just the race being so tight for these guys up towards the front of the pack all season long. I mean, again, Juan Blanat definitely been a bit of the underdog out here for AMX 15 this season, but now it may be looking like him and Toby Soriano as well. Kind of a 2 underdog stories, the 2 Argentinians versus the Frenchman, trying to knock him off the throne. He has been, again, the last 2 seasons winning a championship out here for AMX. So is it time for someone else to dethrone him, take away? Hey, it might just be, but we still have 14 days left to be deciding the winner overall. Gael Valero still fighting for his life out here. Lap number 11 out of 14 in heat number 2. There's still been roughly about a half a second gap between the top 3 drivers. About a second from Jackson all the way up to first place of Gael Valero. So these guys definitely, I mean, we've seen it before. Very uncharacteristic from Gael Valero, but we have seen it in the past where he can make a mistake late on in the race. Like we said, it's very rare, but it has happened before. It happened earlier on this season between him and Pedro Dean out there in the Super Formula cars. So hopefully these guys are able to keep it clean, but I mean, the battle is only going to intensify from here on out.
Yeah, certainly with 3 laps to go now, as the comment section is filled with a lot of French versus Spanish references, and the most latest one is Escargot and Tapas. Well, Notre Dame and Sagrada Familia is a very good reference in that one. Yes, 2 iconic buildings in each of the countries, but who's going to be coming out with a memorable win here today? Will it be Valero or will it be Sardeni? The gap has ebbed and flowed so many times between 0.5 up to 3 to 0.2 of a second, but Valero every single time knows where to put the car in the right places and prevent Sardeni from overtaking. I think Sardeni might run at options here unless he got a better run out of La Source that time. That will force for Sardeni, Valero to resort to doing that. Swimming, just swerving left, right, and center to prevent Sardeni from getting the slipstream.
Yeah, I mean, Sardeni, he was 5th in qualifying and ended up coming out 11th for heat number 1. So, you know, he's super hungry for this win. So it's just, I mean, so close in front of him, but he is going up against one of the best drivers. I mean, there's a reason that Gael Valero is a driver for Apex Racing Team. You have to be good to be on that team if you want to be out here. Of course, we got to see one of his teammates as well, Aaron Vasquez. We got to see him out here win a championship as well for AMX back when he was with Drago Racing, but since has been moved over, gotten recruited by Apex Racing Team. So again, a lot of these guys that we always see the top of the leaderboard, top pro drivers and everything, as well as whether it's a pro series in iRacing, whether it's a league, or whether it's for a special event, you can expect some of these guys to be on top of the leaderboards, and Gael Valero very much showing that once again today.
Yep, indeed. But make no mistake, Sardeni as well has proven his worth here with an absolutely brilliant drive. The iRating numbers don't really tell you the story. And speaking of the story, there's Sardeni going for the dive now. Valero's on the outside, but becomes the inside here. And you can see Resende follows suit. But what a good exit from Sardeni, and he looks a bit disappointed that he couldn't make the mistake. Now he's trying to do part 2. Can he make it through to turn number 1? He thinks about it, but all 3 have backed out of that one that particular time. Now Valero's under huge pressure here, he can tell, because he's swerving left and right. Now he's trying to break the toe, but it seems to be not enough, because now the Resende are in that magic zone to get sucked into the back of the rear wing of the Frenchman.
Absolutely. I mean, just like that, the chicane is absolutely a hard place to get that move done. But here we go. Gael Valero now definitely feeling the pressure, like I said, holding that defensive line, trying to squeeze him a little bit. Sardeni now to the outside, but as well, Jackson Senji trying to take advantage of the battle. So, man, we knew that this one was going to be heated up compared to heat number 1, especially with so much on the line. But going just a little bit wide right there. Sardeni dipping his wheels into the gravel, however, still able to hold on to that position. So if that had been a faster place at the track, Jackson Senji might have been able to take advantage of that and get over there. But I mean, for the penultimate lap, it was really now or never for Sardeni to even just see, man, does he have what it takes to get that win? And just like we've seen there, able to get alongside Gael Valero right there. Jackson Senji could have very well taken advantage of that. So again, the top 3 drivers definitely putting on a show out here. And Amir, I mean, again, anything can happen, but hopefully these guys can keep it clean enough, and we might just have a race down all the way to the finish line. Once the white flag comes out, it is definitely going to be the gloves coming off for these guys.
Well, the gloves have already come up here, Kevin. You can tell that the battles are getting very close, but they maintain the professionalism by giving each other enough of a room here to conduct the side-by-side action. Now then, penultimate lap coming through Blanc-Chimon again. We saw the previous lap that Sardeni showed his hand, tried to overtake here, didn't make it because he wasn't far enough on the inside to take the curb, because stay the corner, because Valero managed to hang around the outside to maintain the lead. Now we're on the final lap here. It's all or nothing, now or never, between these 3 guys.
So just like that, with the white flag coming out, the gloves coming off, these guys, Valero, Sardeni, NJ, the battle is intensifying. So let's see, again, who is it going to come down to? So Jackson Senji, he does not want to end up in 3rd place. Any one of these 3 drivers at the front can definitely take home the win. It's going to be who is going to really push it to the limits, and we'll see if anyone pushes it beyond those limits, as we've seen time and time again. So many photo finishes already this season. There's going to be plenty of content. I know this is going to be one of those battles, probably the best battle going on the scene. But now side by side, Jackson Senji to the outside of Sardeni. Sardeni trying to hold on, just barely enough space there on the inside. We got Jackson now trying to get switched back, but it looks like Sardeni's just barely holding on to it. And that little bit of a battle may be just enough for Gael Valero to really get some of the space that he needs. So again, he's going to have to be absolutely perfect the rest of this lap to hold on to that win. Right now, Sardeni battling it off. Jackson Senji having to fall back in line. Man, this is such a close battle, Amir.
Wow, what an absolutely nip-tuck battle between the top 3. It has spread them out just a bit, but the amount of space that these guys were giving each other were absolutely paramount. You can see how small the gap was, but yet somehow Aldo managed to get through, and it's still not over yet. Sardeni has managed to break free from Jackson Resende. Now he only has 1 sector left to go, 1 breaking point that he will try to overtake, and that's it. His chances to overtake Valero have gone up in smoke, literally like dust that's been kicked up on the side of the road there.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if he's able to just send it into the chicane like he did last time. But I mean, the gap already increasing now, over 1 second gap between Sardeni and SNJ in 2nd and 3rd place. So Gael Valero over half a second gap. I think that just might have been it on the penultimate lap. That was the time for him to make the move as well. He had to battle off Jackson SNJ to hold on to it. Now into the final chicane, we got Gael Valero coming out here into heat number 2, and he's going to come across winning once again. Gael Valero trying to hold on to this championship. Sardeni almost taking it away, almost getting the points out here in heat number 2. A little bit of back and forth from the drivers coming across the line, and just like that, we already see some of the guys trying to pull off, but we see fiberglass carbon fibers spinning off these cars, and just like that, Amir, Gael Valero just barely ekes out his hopes for winning this championship.
But did you see that finish between Peter Zuba and Juan Blainat by just 0.02 of a second between the both of them? It was a very good close for the finish, but that's extra points that Blainat has taken to minimize the damage in this particular heat after an astonishing and stonking battle up in front that saw Valero taking a crucial win.
Yeah, so I mean, just the gap, looking at some of the intervals there, just crazy close, 0.03 of a second out there. We got to see also Toby Soriano back there, just about 1/10 of a second separating. So these guys, yeah, definitely quite a few guys going across the line, nearly photo finishes. But the man this hour, again, Dino Filippo putting it down for heat number 1. Gael Valero coming back out here, able to redeem himself. Heat number 2 coming across out here. So your Ben Q session winner for heat number 2. Again, looking so relieved that he was able to hold on to that one. Gael Valero, your winner. Gerard Sardeni, a close 2nd place. And Jackson Senjay almost having the battle going on for 3rd place, but unfortunately having to just fall back a little bit. Martin Chico in 4th. Ruben Llorente in 5th place. Juan Blainat 6th. Peter Zuba in 7th. Roman Pascucci in 8th place. Toby Soriano 9th. Dino Filippo in 10th. Marcos Saavedra 11th. Pedro Dean 12th. And rounding it out in 13th place, we got Bruno DeCarmo with Jackson Asenge able to set the fastest lap in the midst of all that chaos. So Mir, I mean, it's great to see this guy out here. That's why this championship has been so close all season long. The battles that we got to see like that unfold all the way to the very last lap. Things got a little bit spread out for the endurance race out there. 90 minutes in heat number 1. These guys, really, it came down to the strategy. But for heat number 2, Albos came out. The guys turned it up to 11 and really laid it all out on track.
Definitely, and given the fact that the finish interval between the top two was only 0.3 of a second, tells you, but at the same time doesn't tell you the full story of how crazy that finish was. And let me tell you, I think this was definitely one of the races of the entire season across all the crosses.
Absolutely, but I think it's time to check in with the drivers again. Dino Filippa coming out here. We've missed him for a little while this season. He's been doing a lot of other racing, but let's go into the interview room and check on, and really just an amazing race all day long. But heading off to the interview room with Dino Filippa. And I'm joined right here now with Dino Filippa. Dino, it's great to have you back with AMX. Huge congratulations out here. How does it feel to take home the win after being gone from AMX for so long?
Hi Kevin, yes, I am really happy to return to the league. Yes, the quality was not good, but on the race, all my moves are really good and keep me fight for the first places, and my pit stops are really good, and I can take a really good advantage to the last stint.
Awesome, and I want to talk about some real life racing that you've been doing. I've been following everyone's Instagram, of course, with Sart out there as well. How was it to be able to get out there? Was it a F3 car that you were in a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, I have a test with F3 Argentinian. It's not the F3 FIA F3, but this is a really nice car. I am really happy to all the opportunities I have on the last year, and yes, I have a really good day with my team, Sart, and I can train a lot for the first event of P3 Championship of Racing Prodigy that will be on 10 days, I think.
And how does it feel to go from karting into a faster car like that? Like you said, out there, Argentina F3. What's the biggest difference going from karting into such a faster car?
Well, I compete on a dirt car. This is not a kart, or on Europe, on other places, but it's really fun to drive the dirt car. And the most difference, I think, the feel when you feel the speed, the high speed, and when you feel the car try to slide a little, but it's really similar. And I say always, when you can feel comfortable with the car, it's really similar to the racing, and it's really funny. And I always say all the sim racers can take the opportunity to test a real car.
Awesome. Well, it was glad to have you back. I know we got to see you yesterday. You had to leave early after the first race, but congratulations once again, and good luck out there with the Prodigy Racing.
Really thank Kevin and all the MX, and we will be soon. Bye.
So once again, got to hear from Dino Filippa. It's always great to see these guys, like I said, whether they're doing it in real life, whether they're coming out in the sim. Again, huge things from a lot of people out here. It's great to see how much competition has really grown from the entire community out here at AMX.
Definitely, and the fact that we have multiple countries involved in all of this in South America, especially the Americas, really shows that the burgeoning esports scene and how they've transitioned to the real world as well is really good to see. So they're coming into the grassroots areas in a cheaper way compared to years past, and it also translates to how much participation there is in sim racing. So it goes hand in hand, and it's great to see that they're going through that particular pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of people that get their starting in karting, and that's really kind of the grassroots racing that they all start with and go up from there. I mean, both US, South America, North America, Europe, everywhere out in the world, that has been the traditional way. But I mean, it's so great now to see so many people really starting to take sim racing a little bit more serious as, hey, this isn't just a video game, but this is really a tool. I know, especially following Suelio Almeida, really one of those guys that's putting a lot of the modern sim racing out there, going out there, and now time and time again we get to see guys such as Dino Felipa, Gustavo Ariel, even Max Verstappen out here. I mean, really just advocating for sim racing, really trying to say, hey, all these guys, it's not just a game. These guys have the potential to really get out there. They just don't have the money all the time to end up in these top level racing series. But again, I think it's time that we check in on our final results. It was a great back and forth all day long, but coming out on top, it is going to be Dino Felipa, our overall winner for today's race out here. In a close second, we got Toby Soriano and Marco Saavedra coming in third place. So that's definitely going to be shaking things up for the overall championship now. Peter Zuba in fourth, Jackson SNJ in fifth place, Roman Pascucci in sixth, Gerard Sardeni in seventh, Juan Blenat in eighth place, Martin Chico ninth, and Bruno De Carmo in 10th place. So looks like we had also a bit of a tie there for ninth place as well between those last couple of guys. But Amir, definitely the penultimate race for AMX 15. We have a couple of weeks to see who is going to be crowned champion. And I mean, it's been such a great season so far, a lot on the line. Do you have any predictions after today's race of who you think may be walking out next time a champion?
I don't want to call it too soon. It will be a bit premature, but I would say may the best man win, because it is a very interesting title fight nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. And once again, for everyone out there watching live, make sure to follow our YouTube and Twitch to catch whenever we go live out here racing, as well as head over to the website, catch us on social medias and everything else for updates, giveaways, see what's going to be brewing on next season, as well as what other projects that we're working on, such as being able to partner up to help out with some of the Hyundai and Virtual Cup. So again, so many things going on, but that'll be wrapping it up for this race weekend. We will all catch you next Saturday, where we're going to be back with AMX 0 and AMX 5. But until next time, I'm Kevin alongside with Amir, signing out.